On a rainy night, a black sedan was parked on the roadside. Raindrops pattered against the car. Inside, a woman in a red dress was leaning against a man. The ambiguous atmosphere between them grew more intense in the cramped car. The man grabbed the woman's wrist, placed it on his chest, and playfully asked if she wanted to have some fun. The woman, with a flushed face and hazy eyes, told him she just wanted to have some fun. Hearing this, the man chuckled. Since she was the one who suggested having fun with him, she couldn't hold him accountable afterward. As soon as he finished speaking, the two kissed. After the car shook violently for a while, the woman straightened her clothes, opened the car door, and prepared to leave. The man watched her back and asked teasingly if she had drunk something she shouldn't have at today's celebration party. The woman didn't answer his question, only thanking him for his help. Seeing this, the man teased her, asking if a verbal thank you was all he got for helping her. The woman turned, closed the car door, and promised to treat him to a meal when she had time. The man's name was Song Zhaoli, powerful and influential. After the woman left, Song Zhaoli's childhood friend, Liao Bei, came over and teased him. Even a car this heavy can be shaken. Your charm is astounding. Song Zhaoli ignored Liao Bei's teasing. Liao Bei wasn't annoyed. He opened the car door, got in, and told Song Zhaoli that the woman just now was named Ji Xian. She's the newly poached project manager for Wanxin Group, and she has a boyfriend with the surname Xiao. As for his full name, Liao Bei couldn't remember. Listening to Liao Bei, Song Zhaoli slowly lit a cigarette, nonchalantly telling him that he didn't know this person, Ji Xian, and had never even heard of her. Hearing this, Liao Bei chuckled. He didn't believe Song Zhaoli's nonsense for a second. Song Zhaoli wasn't annoyed, just smiled enigmatically. After returning home, Ji Xian felt dizzy and muddle-headed. She never expected those old geezers at the company, afraid she'd get in their way, would resort to such a dirty trick as drugging her drink. Luckily, she ran into Song Zhaoli this time. But on second thought, running into Song Zhaoli wasn't much better. Ji Xian recalled the celebration party, where a group of men were jeering, trying to get her to drink cross-cupped wine with Song Zhaoli. Even her boyfriend, who should now be considered her ex-boyfriend, Xiao Jing, was joining in. Those people were pushing Ji Xian to drink with Song Zhaoli. Ji Xian wanted to refuse, but unexpectedly, Song Zhaoli came up to her and told her it was just a drink so she could relax. After all, he wasn't a lecher. Suddenly, her phone rang, interrupting Ji Xian's memories. The caller ID showed it was Ji Xian's mother. Ji Xian answered the phone while lying in bed. Her mother's voice came from the other end, asking if Ji Xian was home yet. Ji Xian told her mother she was home safe and already in bed. Hearing this, her mother felt much more at ease. Ever since Ji Xian told her yesterday that she was going to the celebration party, Ji Xian's mother had been worried. She was afraid that Ji Xian, being alone at the party, would be forced to drink. It would be troublesome if she got drunk. Her mother was so worried she couldn't sleep. Now that she knew Ji Xian was home safe, she was relieved. Then, her mother reminded Ji Xian to make a cup of honey water to drink. Ji Xian agreed. She then asked her mother if there was any news about her father. But her mother didn't answer, instead changing the subject, saying it was about to rain and she had to bring in the laundry. Finally, she urged Ji Xian to take care of herself and not to worry so much about family matters, then hung up. After her mother hung up, Ji Xian saw 2 text messages on her phone. They were from Song Zhaoli. He was reminding Ji Xian that her clothes were left in his car. Ji Xian frowned slightly looking at the messages. She then replied to Song Zhaoli, telling him to just throw them away for her. After replying to Song Zhaoli's message, Ji Xian lay down and fell asleep. In the middle of the night, Ji Xian started having a nightmare. She dreamed of the time when debt collectors came to their door. A young Ji Xian and her mother were helpless at home. Outside the door were vicious-looking creditors. The creditors were frantically banging on their door. Ji Xian's father, Ji Jianya, owed them 70 million. They threatened Ji Xian and her mother, saying that if Ji Jianya couldn't pay back the money, they would make Ji Xian and her mother pay it back in his place. Ji Xian's mother told them they didn't have that much money, but the creditors insisted on forcibly taking their house and ordered their men to throw Ji Xian and her mother out. While struggling, Ji Xian's mother was accidentally pushed down. Her head hit the ground hard, and blood started pouring out. Ji Xian woke up from the nightmare with a start. She clutched the clothes on her chest tightly, her breathing ragged. After finally calming down, Ji Xian took out her phone and transferred 10,000 yuan to her mother. She left a message reminding her that the seasons were changing and she should buy some new clothes, telling her not to be reluctant to spend money. They had already paid off more than half of their debt. Once it was all paid off, Ji Xian planned to have her mother come live with her. After doing this, Ji Xian fell asleep again. The next morning, as soon as Ji Xian arrived at the company, she noticed the atmosphere was off. Many people started whispering and pointing behind her back when they saw her. They said she usually seemed so proper, but they never expected she'd be caught in that kind of photo. So her usual propriety was all an act, just a phony. Others were discussing who the man in the photo was, but no one seemed to know because his face was too blurry. Many began to speculate. Ji Xian was parachuted into the company, so it seemed likely that the man was one of the company's leaders. That's why the photographer didn't dare to capture his face clearly, only Ji Xian's. Naturally, Ji Xian heard these words. With a dark expression, she walked over to the gossiping crowd, wanting to ask what was going on. Just as Ji Xian was completely bewildered, someone reminded her that in the early hours of the morning, someone had posted intimate photos of her and Song Zhaoli in the workgroup chat. And these photos were also sent to the company executives' emails. Ji Xian looked at the photos. Though her face was expressionless, her mind was already racing, trying to figure out who was behind this. She could tell that the person who took these photos was a professional. The angle was definitely chosen deliberately, capturing her face clearly while only showing Song Zhaoli's chin. This meant the target was her. Just then, Ji Xian received a call. The person on the other end told her that President Li wanted her to go to his office once she arrived. Ji Xian agreed, while instructing her assistant to notify everyone else about a meeting in the afternoon. This decision by Ji Xian made some of her subordinates unhappy. They couldn't believe, after such an ugly incident, Ji Xian was still in a mood for a meeting. This woman was too much of a go-getter. Ji Xian ignored their comments. After instructing her subordinate, she went to President Li's office. Song Zhaoli was already inside, talking with President Li. He was sitting on the sofa, leisurely looking at the man before him, asking if the person in charge of this project was involved in a sex scandal yesterday. Hearing this, President Li quickly explained that it was all just baseless rumors. But Song Zhaoli clearly didn't believe him. After all, as far as he knew, it wasn't just an unsubstantiated rumor. There were photos as proof. President Li, not wanting to lose a major client like Song Zhaoli, was still trying hard to explain, attempting to convince Song Zhaoli that it was just Ji Xian being intimate with her boyfriend. It was a matter between a young couple, and they couldn't interfere. Hearing President Li's explanation, an enigmatic smile appeared on Song Zhaoli's face, as if he was very interested in this young couple explanation. Ji Xian arrived at the door of President Li's office and was surprised to see Song Zhaoli sitting inside. She hadn't expected him to be here. Seeing Ji Xian, President Li finally breathed a sigh of relief. He quickly beckoned her over to explain to Song Zhaoli what was going on with those photos. Ji Xian walked up to Song Zhaoli, put on a professional fake smile, and asked what he wanted to know. But as soon as Song Zhaoli saw it was her, he lost interest in discussing the photo incident and changed the subject. He wanted to discuss the project. At this point, President Li interjected, telling Song Zhaoli that the terms of this project were absolutely excellent. Their company was only looking for a partner because of temporary cash flow problems. Otherwise, they definitely wouldn't have sought out side collaboration. After hearing this, Song Zhaoli raised his hand to cut President Li off. He stated that he didn't want to hear these empty words. Seeing this, Ji Xian immediately understood and asked if he wanted to conduct a site visit. President Li was also good at reading the room. He immediately offered to arrange a car to take Song Zhaoli there. But Song Zhaoli asked President Li if he, being so busy, had time to go personally. President Li naturally understood his hint and immediately said that he was indeed a bit busy. If Song Zhaoli didn't mind, Ji Xian could accompany him. Song Zhaoli expressed that he had no objection. After all, the guests should follow the host's arrangements. Ji Xian also tactfully offered to take Song Zhaoli for the site visit, but she couldn't help but feel uneasy, not knowing what Song Zhaoli was up to. On the way to the site with Song Zhaoli, Ji Xian didn't forget to report on the construction site situation. She told Song Zhaoli that the site was still under construction. The foreman, Foreman Wang, was a long-term partner of their Wanxin group. This man is very capable. Halfway through her sentence, Ji Xian glanced unintentionally in Song Zhaoli's direction and noticed he was wearing a turtleneck sweater today. As he adjusted the collar, a mark on his neck was revealed. Ji Xian immediately thought of last night. That mark, she had left it. Thinking about last night, Ji Xian's face instantly turned red. Embarrassed, she turned her head away, not daring to look at Song Zhaoli again. Seeing Ji Xian's reaction, Song Zhaoli found amusing. He deliberately leaned closer to Ji Xian and asked if she was afraid of him. Ji Xian composed herself, put on a smile again, and told Song Zhaoli that she believed he was a gentleman. Hearing Ji Xian's words, Song Zhaoli found it interesting. He then told Ji Xian that she could rest assured he wouldn't cling to her and make her take responsibility just because they had that one experience. The driver drove them to the construction site. As soon as the car stopped, Ji Xian got out and walked straight ahead without looking back. Song Zhaoli followed behind her at a leisurely pace. He found her behavior somewhat amusing and asked if she was angry. Ji Xian's reply was, naturally no. The two walked to the construction site. Song Zhaoli looked at the unfinished project before him. With just one glance, he could see that the project's drawbacks currently outweighed its benefits. Investing in this project would likely not break even, but Ji Xian told him that this was never meant to be a short-term, high-profit project. Its advantage was its long-term, stable returns. However, Song Zhaoli didn't buy it. He pointedly told Ji Xian that she was just making empty promises. Ji Xian's expression instantly turned sour, but she patiently handed the documents in her hand to Song Zhaoli, telling him to look at the data if he didn't believe her. The data in the documents could explain everything. At that moment, the site supervisor, Wang Cheng, suddenly spotted Ji Xian. He was a bit surprised and immediately ran towards her, asking as he walked why she had time to come over. Ji Xian explained that she was showing a client around. Hearing this, Wang Cheng had someone bring 2 hard hats for them. The construction site was dangerous, so it was better to wear one. Ji Xian took a hard hat and skillfully put it on. She handed the other hard hat to Song Zhaoli, but he told her he didn't know how to wear it and wanted her to help him. Ji Xian naturally didn't refuse. She took the hard hat to help Song Zhaoli put it on. Song Zhaoli was much taller than Ji Xian, so it was a bit difficult for her to put the hat on him. She had to stand on her tiptoes to help him. At that moment, Song Zhaoli's hand rested on Ji Xian's waist. After putting the hat on for Song Zhaoli, Ji Xian unceremoniously slapped away the hand he had placed on her waist. Song Zhaoli wasn't annoyed, smiling gently. He even thanked Ji Xian. The supervisor, Wang Cheng, who was standing aside, saw this and had a look of sudden realization, as if he had discovered something extraordinary. Clearly, he had misunderstood the relationship between Song Zhaoli and Ji Xian. Ji Xian continued to lead Song Zhaoli deeper into the construction site, explaining the project's advantages. It was nestled by mountains and water, making it very suitable for a nursing home. Just then, Ji Xian received a text message on her phone. It was from her ex-boyfriend, Xiao Jing. He told Ji Xian that her boss had just called him. He had told the boss that he was the man in the photos. Song Zhaoli, standing behind Ji Xian, saw the message and let out a derisive laugh. He mocked him for being so magnanimous. Ji Xian ignored him and sent a message to Xiao Jing, telling him they had already broken up. But Xiao Jing didn't seem to think so. He thought Ji Xian was just throwing a tantrum and told her that their wedding would still proceed as planned. He wouldn't ask who the man in the photo was, and he hoped Ji Xian could forget their unpleasantness and not worry the elders. Reading these words, Ji Xian felt disgusted. After replying to Xiao Jing, Song Zhaoli had already walked ahead with Wang Cheng. The two were chatting happily. Wang Cheng seemed surprised that Song Zhaoli knew about construction work. Song Zhaoli told him that he had worked as a laborer on a construction site before. Hearing this, Ji Xian couldn't help but curse inwardly. He'd worked as a laborer, but claimed he didn't know how to wear a hard hat. It was obvious he had been playing her. After returning from his site, Ji Xian was harshly scolded by President Li. The reason, of course, was the photos. President Li told Ji Xian that her affair had severely damaged the company's reputation. He decided to dock all of Ji Xian's bonus for the month and ordered her to write a self-criticism report and email it to him. After leaving President Li's office, Ji Xian received a call from an unknown number. When she answered, it was Xiao Jing's voice. She had blocked him before, so he had no choice but to call her from a different number. Hearing Xiao Jing's voice, Ji Xian was impatient. She told him she would hang up if there was nothing important and that there was no need to call again. Hearing this, Xiao Jing quickly stopped her, saying he had something he needed her help with. Ji Xian wanted to refuse, but Xiao Jing said that he wouldn't bother her again after this. He would also tell her mother that the wedding was canceled because he was going abroad. This way, they could both save face. Not wanting to worry her mother, Ji Xian agreed. Xiao Jing wanted to invite Ji Xian to attend a dinner with him. He claimed it was to be her shield, but in reality, he was using her as a shield to cover up his own scandals. After asking for the address, she hung up. Meanwhile, on Song Zhaoli's side, he asked his assistant if he had any engagements that evening. The assistant told him it was a dinner with Rongxing Group, which he had previously instructed to cancel. Hearing this, Song Zhaoli told Xiao Ling to inform them to set it for 8 o'clock and he would be there on time. At 8 p.m., the Rongxing Group dinner officially began. Song Zhaoli's car stopped at the entrance of the banquet hall. He and Ji Xian walked into the hall at the same time. Coming to greet them was President Wang of Rongxing Group. President Wang was surprised to see the two of them arrive together. He hadn't expected Ji Xian to know Song Zhaoli, and they seemed to be on good terms. President Wang hurried forward to welcome them and led them inside. Xiao Jing was also by Ji Xian's side at this time. He had no idea that Ji Xian knew Song Zhaoli. When he pressed her, Ji Xian gave him a cold look and just told him to mind his own business. President Wang led them to the dining table. He intentionally had Ji Xian sit next to Song Zhaoli and jokingly told her to help take care of him. Ji Xian naturally agreed readily, saying she would do her best to make Song Zhaoli feel at home. Song Zhaoli looked at the smile on Ji Xian's face and felt a stir in his heart. After seating the two, President Wang also took his seat. Song Zhaoli was notoriously hard to get a meeting with. Since he had finally come out today, President Wang had to seize this opportunity to get on his good side. With that, he began to toast Song Zhaoli. Ji Xian sat aside, eating quietly. She wished everyone would toast Song Zhaoli, as she couldn't drink today. But things didn't go as planned. When President Wang saw that Ji Xian wasn't drinking, his expression instantly soured. He asked her why she wouldn't drink and told everyone that no one was allowed to skip drinks today. However, Song Zhaoli wasn't having it. He retorted, asking President Wang if he was trying to get him drunk so they could talk about the contract. Hearing this, President Wang laughed awkwardly, saying Song Zhaoli was overthinking it. After all, for today's collaboration, their Rongxing Group had come with sincerity. While the two were talking, Ji Xian stood up, using the excuse of going to the restroom to leave her seat. She knew very well that it was no longer appropriate for her to stay there. After leaving, Ji Xian didn't go to the restroom, but went to the rooftop for some fresh air. She stood on the rooftop, planning to rest for a bit before going back in. She also took the opportunity to reply to her friend Wu Shu's messages. Her phone had been buzzing nonstop since earlier. They were all messages from Wu Shu, asking what was going on with her and Xiao Jing, and if Xiao Jing had cheated on her. As soon as Ji Xian finished replying to Wu Shu, she suddenly heard, from her room just a wall away, the indescribable sounds of Xiao Jing and a woman. Ji Xian felt helpless and could only leave the rooftop. She didn't expect to find no peace, no matter where she hid. As she opened the door to go back early, she saw Song Zhaoli standing at the entrance. Song Zhaoli didn't seem surprised to see Ji Xian. At that moment, the sounds of Xiao Jing and the woman were still echoing in their ears. The woman over there was asking Xiao Jing why Ji Xian was here today when he had already broken up with her. Before they could hear Xiao Jing's reply, Song Zhaoli started teasing Ji Xian. He said he didn't realize she had such a unique hobby. Hearing this, Ji Xian was speechless. She told Song Zhaoli that whatever hobby he was thinking of, she didn't have it. Just then, Ji Xian heard what sounded like the voices of other people from the dinner party nearby. It seemed they were looking for someone, as everyone had left the table. When Ji Xian heard President Wang's voice, her first instinct was that he couldn't find her in Song Zhaoli. She reached out, grabbed Song Zhaoli's arm, and tried to pull him into hiding. But unexpectedly, Song Zhaoli used emotion to pin her against the wall and kiss her. Song Jiali looked at Ji Xian, his eyes dark and unreadable, and asked if she wanted to have some fun. But Ji Xian didn't seem to have that intention. She asked Song Jiali in return if she said no, would he let her go? Song Jiali just smiled and told her yes. As they spoke, Xiao Jing's side seemed to have noticed someone upstairs. The conversation between him and the woman became bolder and more explicit. Song Jiali didn't forget to tease Ji Xian at this moment, asking if she liked being listened to, since it was quite exciting. He even told Ji Xian that if she liked it, he could cooperate. Hearing his words, Ji Xian flicked Song Jiali on the forehead, telling him to drink less in the future, lest he drink too much, damage his central nervous system with alcohol, and start having delusions. Song Jiali didn't mind Ji Xian's action. Instead, he started listening carefully to the conversation between Xiao Jing and the woman. The two of them soon figured out that the woman with Xiao Jing was President Wang's wife. After hearing this, Song Jiali deliberately remarked to Ji Xian, "So your boyfriend got ahead by sleeping his way up." Ji Xian didn't put up with it and pinched him hard on the waist, telling him if he was so curious, he could go down and see for himself. Just as Song Jiali was rubbing his sore waist, Xiao Jing came upstairs with his clothes in disarray. Following behind him was President Wang's wife. When Xiao Jing saw Ji Xian, his first reaction was to explain. Seeing Xiao Jing approach, Ji Xian quickly stepped back to avoid him and warned him not to touch her. Seeing this, Mrs. Wang was immediately displeased. She questioned Xiao Jing, asking why he was explaining things to Ji Xian when he didn't love her anymore. Xiao Jing ignored Mrs. Wang. When he saw Song Jiali, Xiao Jing's face turned extremely ugly. He hadn't expected Song Jiali to be here too and didn't know when he had arrived. Song Jiali, however, was calm. He directly told Xiao Jing that he had been there from the beginning. Song Jiali lit a cigarette and smoked it slowly, seemingly waiting for Xiao Jing and the others to explain. Mrs. Wang also saw Song Jiali and panicked. She quickly joined Xiao Jing in explaining, telling him it was a misunderstanding. At this moment, Ji Xian had no mood to listen to their excuses. She turned and left. Before leaving, she didn't forget to tell Mrs. Wang that President Wang had just been looking for her. Seeing Ji Xian leave, Song Jiali quickly followed. Ji Xian walked out of the hotel entrance. Song Jiali's driver, Chiu Ling, was already waiting outside. He told Ji Xian that it was already very late and hard to get a taxi, and that Song Jiali had asked him to drive her home. Ji Xian didn't refuse and got in the car with Song Jiali. After arriving home, just as Ji Xian was about to get out of the car, Song Jiali grabbed her. Ji Xian looked at Song Jiali and asked if there was anything else. Song Jiali glanced at Ji Xian, released the hand holding her wrist, and told her it was nothing, that she should go back and get some rest. Seeing this, Ji Xian didn't ask any more questions and got out of the car. Back home, Ji Xian lay in bed video calling Wushu. Wushu had also seen the photos and gossipingly asked Ji Xian who the man was and if he was handsome. Ji Xian nonchalantly told him that the man was Song Jiali. Hearing this name, Wushu was instantly shocked. His reaction was so big it startled Ji Xian. Wushu mysteriously told Ji Xian to stay far away from this Song Jiali. Because Ji Xian wasn't from Qingcheng, she didn't know that a few years ago, there was a major kidnapping case in Qingcheng. The kidnappers abducted all 4 heirs of the Song family. After the 4 returned, the eldest went mad, the second died, and the third fell gravely ill. But somehow, the 4th, Song Jiali, was completely unharmed. Not only was he unharmed, he later forced his eldest uncle to his death and inherited the company. That's why many people say he orchestrated the kidnapping himself. After hanging up the video call with Wushu, Ji Xian lay in bed, her mind racing. Just as she was about to fall asleep, she received another message on her phone. She opened it and saw it was a video. After playing it, she realized it was surveillance footage. The content of the footage was the process of those people drugging her on the day of the party. Ji Xian shot up in bed. Just as she was about to see who sent her the video, she was surprised to find that the sender field was blank. The next morning, when Ji Xian went to the company, several police officers were following her. The people at the company saw the police behind Ji Xian and were all surprised, wondering what she was up to. People started guessing it was because of the photos. But at that moment, Ji Xian had no mind to care what others were saying. Instead, she led the police directly to the office of the planning department manager, Feng Cheng. When Feng Chang saw Ji Xian arrive with the police, he became flustered. He asked what she was doing. Ji Xian looked at Feng Chang coldly and told him that regarding the matter of him bribing a waiter to drug her, she hoped he would cooperate with the police investigation. Before Feng Chang could say anything, the police officers behind Ji Xian stepped forward and restrained him. At this point, Feng Chang was still trying to argue his innocence, claiming he did nothing. Feng Chang was taken away by the police. On the way, he didn't forget to threaten the police, saying they were damaging his reputation and that he would sue them. But the police were not intimidated by Feng Chang and took him away. Watching Feng Chang being led away, Ji Xian showed a satisfied smile. At that moment, an employee came over and told Ji Xian that President Li wanted to see her, and it seemed President Li was very displeased about her calling the police. Ji Xian wasn't afraid. She swaggered into President Li's office. At that moment, President Li was on the phone, seemingly talking about Feng Chang being taken away, and was taking all the credit for Ji Xian reporting it to the police. Ji Xian saw that President Li's expression seemed much better and couldn't help but curse inwardly at how quickly he changed his tune. No wonder people called him chameleon. After hanging up the phone, President Li, with a smile on his face, asked Ji Xian if she was very familiar with Song Zhaoli. Ji Xian told him that she had met Song Zhaoli a few times, and from President Li's reaction, Ji Xian inferred that last phone call was related to Song Zhaoli. Afterward, President Li poured Ji Xian a glass of water. As he poured, he told her that what Feng Chang did had indeed wronged her. He assured Ji Xian that the company would definitely give her a proper explanation. Although she didn't know what had come over President Li, she still maintained a polite facade and apologized to President Li. Then, President Li told Ji Xian that he had called her over because the collaborative project with President Wang needed her to follow up on it. He also told Ji Xian to prepare for a business trip to Dongshi for a period of time. Ji Xian agreed and began to think. That last phone call was most likely from President Wang. But what did this have to do with Song Zhaoli? Ji Xian thought about it for a while, but couldn't figure it out, so she decided to stop thinking about it. Upon arriving in Dongshi, Ji Xian, not surprisingly, ran into Song Zhaoli again, and she learned from others that Song Zhaoli was the main investor in this project. Song Zhaoli looked at the document in his hand and asked Ji Xian if there was a problem. Ji Xian pouted and told him no. At this moment, the woman sitting next to Ji Xian began to introduce herself. She was Feng Hui, the person in charge of Rongxing's project this time. Hearing Feng Hui's words, Song Zhaoli seemed a bit displeased. He frowned. With a slap, he threw the document onto the table. Seeing this, Feng Hui quickly stood up and asked him for his suggestions. But Song Zhaoli retorted that he was the investor, yet she was asking him for suggestions. He wanted to see a feasible plan by this time tomorrow. After Song Zhaoli left, Feng Hui looked at Ji Xian with a hint of apology. It seemed she would have to stay a few more days. Ji Xian didn't mind, though. After all, she was on a business trip at public expense, and it wasn't her own money she was spending. Back at the hotel, as Ji Xian was swiping her card to enter her room, she happened to see Song Zhaoli on the phone. The person on the other end of the line was confessing their love to him, but Song Zhaoli arrogantly told the person that he didn't like women. Upon seeing Ji Xian, Song Zhaoli stopped in his tracks. Hanging up the phone, Song Zhaoli started chatting with Ji Xian. He pretended he had just found out that Ji Xian was staying on the same floor, while Ji Xian just responded with polite platitudes. After the pleasantries, she prepared to enter her room. Seeing that Ji Xian was about to leave, Song Zhaoli grabbed her arm, reminding Ji Xian that she still owed him a meal. But Ji Xian had only been making a polite offer at the time. She didn't expect Song Zhaoli to actually take it seriously, but she didn't want to have a meal with Song Zhaoli, so she started looking for an excuse. She said she was afraid of the restaurant being crowded with prying eyes, which would be bad for Song Zhaoli's reputation. If Song Zhaoli didn't mind, she could order takeout. Hearing this, Song Zhaoli naturally didn't mind. He just wanted to know if they would be going to his room, or to Ji Xian's room. Ji Xian dodged the approaching Song Zhaoli and gave an awkward smile. She reminded him that she could have the takeout delivered directly to his room. Seemingly dissatisfied with Ji Xian's distance, Song Zhaoli's expression grew uncharacteristically serious. He wasn't short of a meal. He just wanted to know if Ji Xian and Xiao Jing were still in a relationship. Hearing this question, Ji Xian showed no intention of answering. Seeing her silence, Song Jiaoli thought she was tacitly admitting it. Then, Ji Xian spoke up and asked Song Jiaoli if there was nothing else. She was going back to her room. After that, Ji Xian turned to leave. Song Jiaoli lit a cigarette, took a drag, and slowly spoke. Ji Xian was the one who provoked him first, and then she ran off after provoking him. If Ji Xian thought about it from his perspective, how would he feel? Hearing this, Ji Xian turned and apologized to Song Jiaoli. Song Jiaoli looked at her and proposed that if Ji Xian could spend one night with him, he would consider the previous matter settled. Then he waited for Ji Xian's answer. After returning to her room, Ji Xian lay on the bed, stared at the ceiling, and began to consider whether to accept Song Jiaoli's offer. Just then, she received a text message from her mother. Ji Xian looked at her mother's caring words and suddenly realized that if she wanted to make money and pay off her debts in Qingsheng, she couldn't avoid Song Jiaoli no matter what. She couldn't afford to offend him right now. So, she went to the door of Song Jiaoli's room. Standing at Song Jiaoli's door, Ji Xian took a deep breath, trying to psych herself up and calm down. Then, she raised her hand and rang Song Jiaoli's doorbell. Song Jiaoli opened the door. He had just finished showering. He was drying his hair. Seeing Ji Xian, he asked if she had made up her mind. Ji Xian replied that, on second thought, she wasn't really at a loss. Seeing this, Song Jiaoli didn't stand on ceremony and pulled her directly into his arms. He had thought Ji Xian would refuse him. He took off Ji Xian's outer coat and then kissed her. Perhaps his kissing skills were too good. Ji Xian found it a bit hard to handle. Song Jiaoli raised his hand to caress Ji Xian's face, his tone slightly teasing that can't even handle this much. Then what will you do later? Ji Xian looked at Song Jiaoli before her heart racing. After a moment of silence, she reminded him just this once. But Song Jiaoli clearly had no intention of agreeing to that. He leaned in close to Ji Xian's ear and reminded her ambiguously, I never said just once. What I said was for you to spend the night with me. Then we'd be even. After they were intimate, Ji Xian fell asleep. Song Jiaoli picked up his phone. A message from Liao Bei had popped up. He had finally remembered Ji Xian's identity. Ji Xian was the university student Song Jiaoli had sponsored 5 years ago. Liao Bei also teased Song Jiaoli, saying he didn't expect him to be playing the long game of grooming her. Song Jiaoli only replied with one sentence, telling Liao Bei to watch his mouth. Liao Bei was carefree and replied instantly, telling Song Jiaoli not to worry, his lips were sealed. However, Liao Bei then added another sentence, telling Song Jiaoli that being the other man never ends well. After that, Song Jiaoli didn't reply again. The next day, when Ji Xian woke up in bed, Song Jiaoli was no longer beside her. Ji Xian got out of bed and started looking for her clothes. She picked up a shirt from the floor and casually put it on. Then she was about to open the door to go out and find her clothes. But as soon as she opened it, she saw Song Jiaoli discussing cooperation matters with the senior leaders of Rongsheng Group. As Ji Xian opened the door from inside the room, everyone's eyes focused on her. Seeing this, Ji Xian slammed the door shut with a bang and retreated. Song Jiaoli, however, looked nonchalant. He told the people from Rongsheng Group that he was giving them 1 week to submit a new proposal to him. The group quickly agreed and picked up their proposal. Before leaving, they didn't forget to tell Song Jiaoli that none of them were gossips and that he could rest assured. This was clearly alluding to the matter with Ji Xian. Meanwhile, Ji Xian was hiding in the room. She knew very well that the people meeting with Song Jiaoli just now were all from Rome, Sheng, and they were all Xiao Jing's superiors. Looking at it this way, she was in trouble. At that moment, she received a message on her phone from Song Jiaoli. He told her that it was all a complete accident and assured her that he would handle it. After the meeting, Fang Hui caught up with Ji Xian and asked with a curious look what her relationship with Song Jiaoli was. Song Jiaoli hadn't attended the meetings for several days. Ji Xian, however, just gave a faint smile. She told Fang Hui that she and Song Jiaoli really weren't close. But obviously, Fang Hui didn't believe Ji Xian's story at all. After all, she had heard about the incident where Ji Xian came out of Song Jiaoli's room. Ji Xian was a smart person. Seeing that Fang Hui already knew about it, she dropped her fake smile. She told Fang Hui with a serious expression that she knew what she had heard. That incident did happen, but it was just an accident. Then she bid Fang Hui farewell. Of course, Fang Hui wouldn't believe such a lame excuse. She watched Ji Xian's departing figure, her eyes filled with disdain. In her opinion, If it weren't for Song Jiali backing her, who did Ji Xian think she was to be so arrogant? Without Song Jiali, she was nothing. After getting into the elevator, Ji Xian messaged her good friend Wu Shu, asking if that Feng Hui was his neighbor. Wu Shu told Ji Xian that Feng Hui was indeed his neighbor and reminded her not to be fooled by Feng Hui's seemingly carefree attitude. In reality, she was not a good person. Wu Shu had been schemed against by Feng Hui quite a few times before. Then Wu Shu also told Ji Xian a piece of gossip. Feng Hui was pursuing Song Jiali. Before Ji Xian could reply to Wu Shu's message, a familiar voice sounded from behind her. It was Song Jiali. When she got into the elevator earlier, she hadn't noticed at all that Song Jiali was also inside. Hearing Song Jiali call her name, Ji Xian didn't respond at first, pretending not to hear. When the elevator doors opened, Ji Xian walked out without looking back. She wanted to ignore Song Jiali completely, but he didn't give her the chance, continuing to call after her from behind. This time, his tone carried a hint of confusion. Ji Xian knew she couldn't avoid him. She could only turn her head to look at Song Jiali, putting on a professional fake smile and greeting him. After the greeting, Ji Xian turned her head away, but her peripheral vision didn't forget to glance at Song Jiali as she cursed inwardly. Song Jiali should be planning to let me go now, right? After all, I've already done what I was supposed to do. But when she saw the smile on Song Jiali's face, her heart skipped a beat. She understood that he didn't seem to want to give up just like that. And sure enough, Song Jiali suddenly spoke up to remind her, be careful at the celebration banquet tomorrow night. Don't let another mess like last time happen. Song Jiali leaned in close to Ji Xian, whispering in her ear with practiced, ambiguous movements. Ji Xian didn't dodge, just letting him lean in close to her. Maintaining this intimate posture, he reminded her, if something like that happens again, it'll be really hard to clear things up. Then, Song Jiali straightened up and left, leaving Ji Xian standing there, staring at his back in a daze. After the celebration banquet the next day, Ji Xian and Feng Hui were on their way back to the hotel. Because Song Jiali hadn't appeared at the banquet, Feng Hui was a little unhappy. She walked into the elevator side by side with Ji Xian. After asking which floor Feng Hui was on, Ji Xian pressed the button and took out her phone to check her messages. Feng Hui glanced at Ji Xian, seeming very displeased with her. Then she suddenly spoke, asking Ji Xian if she knew that Song Jiali had a fianca copyright. Feng Hui's tone was hostile. She continued to warn Ji Xian, wanting her to understand that a man like Song Jiali was not short of women. The implication was that Ji Xian should know her place. But Ji Xian wasn't buying it. She retorted to Feng Hui that she should understand that for herself and didn't need to remind her. Hearing Ji Xian's words, Feng Hui instantly flew into a rage. She hadn't expected Ji Xian to have such an attitude when speaking to her. But Ji Xian just calmly told her that she shouldn't treat her as a rival because she wasn't interested in Song Jiali at all. Hearing this, Feng Hui got agitated on the spot. She angrily retorted, not interested, yet you climbed into his bed? Stop acting so high and mighty. At this point, the elevator doors had opened. Ji Xian also walked out of the elevator. Once again, she failed to notice that Song Jiali was standing right behind her. Ji Xian was only thinking of retorting loudly to Feng Hui, telling her that she really wasn't interested in Song Jiali. She was just playing with him. Hearing this sentence, Song Jiali's childhood friend, Liao Bei, walked up, draped an arm over Song Jiali's shoulder, and said teasingly, reminding Song Jiali that Ji Xian was just playing with him. Ji Xian was shocked to see Song Jiali appear in front of her. At this moment, Song Jiali actually had an expression on his face as if he were deeply hurt. He looked at Ji Xian, his eyes holding a trace of loneliness. Song Jiali's tone was flat, betraying no emotion. He just asked Ji Xian, was it fun? Want to keep playing? Then, Song Jiali brushed past Ji Xian and entered the elevator without looking back, leaving Ji Xian alone and in disarray. She inwardly screamed that she was doomed. Back in her room, Ji Xian was still terrified. She quickly took out her phone to message Song Jiali. She told him that she needed to explain what had just happened at the elevator. She had absolutely no intention of slandering him behind his back and hoped he wouldn't take it to heart. After sending the message to Song Jiali, Ji Xian collapsed onto the sofa, thinking about what had happened today. Ji Xian couldn't help but sigh. Her luck was just too rotten. At this moment, Song Jiali was sitting in a car with his childhood friend, Liao Bei. Idly flicking a lighter, Liao Bei looked at Song Jiali curiously and asked why he wasn't replying to the message. Song Jiali just coolly told him it was none of his business. But Liao Bei didn't give up, teasing Song Zhaoli that he had told him long ago that being the other man had no future. And now look, she was just playing with him. Hearing this, Song Zhaoli shot Liao Bei a look. He didn't think Ji Xian was the type of person who would allow her boyfriend to cheat on her. Liao Bei didn't disagree with this. After all, he had heard that 6 months ago, the boss of a publicly listed company wanted to keep Ji Xian as a mistress, but Ji Xian ended up cracking his head open. Song Zhaoli wasn't surprised by this. A girl like Ji Xian, who was so desperate for money yet never bowed down for it, how could she possibly allow her own boyfriend to cheat? Although he said that, Song Zhaoli was still wondering in his heart what the real situation was between Ji Xian and Xiao Jing, the IS at a partnership. What can Xiao Jing give her? Liao Bei suddenly spoke again, interrupting Song Zhaoli's thoughts. He asked Song Zhaoli, "Does Ji Xian know that you're the one who sponsored her?" Song Zhaoli didn't say directly, just evasively told Liao Bei to guess. Liao Bei didn't hold back and stated his guess directly. He could tell that Ji Xian, 9 times out of 10, didn't know. If she did know, given her personality, she wouldn't have that kind of attitude towards Song Zhaoli. Song Zhaoli didn't respond, just took out his cigarette case, put a cigarette in his mouth, and started smoking. Early the next morning, Ji Xian rushed to the airport. The contract signing went smoothly. Feng Hui was no longer in the mood to cause trouble for her. Moreover, she heard from the Rongxing people that Feng Hui had been demoted. This made Ji Xian feel a bit smug and put her in a good mood. As soon as Ji Xian got off the plane, she kept staring at her phone. Song Zhaoli still hadn't replied to the message she sent him last night, which made her a little anxious. Then, Ji Xian saw her friend Wu Shu, dressed all in black and wearing a pair of black sunglasses, waving at her. Seeing Wu Shu's outfit, Ji Xian couldn't help but tease him, asking if he was here to pick her up or to attend her funeral. Wu Shu went along with it, telling her it was more or less the same. On the way back with Wu Shu was very gossipy, persistently asking Ji Xian if she had run into Song Zhaoli again in Dongshi. Ji Xian was a bit helpless, telling Wu Shu that he was the client, so it was impossible not to meet him. But Wu Shu clearly didn't believe her, feeling that Ji Xian wasn't telling the whole story. Once they got in the car, Wu Shu got straight to the point, asking Ji Xian if she had slept with Song Zhaoli again. Before Ji Xian could answer, Wu Shu continued on his own, saying that she hadn't listened to his words at all. "Aren't you afraid that Song Zhaoli will do something bad to you?" Listening to Wu Shu, Ji Xian felt helpless and could only explain. At the banquet before, she was drugged by a colleague, and she was the one who forced herself on Song Zhaoli. On this business trip, Song Zhaoli asked her to pay him back, so now they were even. It was quite fair, but Wu Shu disagreed. He felt that since Ji Xian was drugged, she was also a victim. This way of handling it was just too bizarre. But broad-minded and generous Ji Xian said that it was all in the past, and there was no need to bring it up again. Wu Shu was still a little worried. He didn't think Song Zhaoli would let Ji Xian off so easily. Ji Xian thought so too. Then, Wu Shu threw out a guess. Could it be that Song Zhaoli has fallen for you? But Ji Xian didn't take it seriously, just thinking Wu Shu was telling a bad joke. After getting out of the car, Ji Xian received a call from her mother. Her mother asked on the phone why she wasn't back yet. Xiao Jing and his mother had already arrived. They had previously arranged for both families to meet today. Ji Xian told her mother she would be home in an hour. Then Wu Shu also got out of the car and told Ji Xian that he had heard Xiao Jing was involved with their President Wang's wife. He asked Ji Xian if it was true, but Ji Xian didn't answer, only telling Wu Shu that she couldn't have lunch with him. She had to go back to Yinqing because Xiao Jing had brought his mother to her house to pressure her into marriage. After getting in the car, Ji Xian called Xiao Jing. She got straight to the point, telling him that whatever happened in a little while, he would have brought it on himself. An hour later, Ji Xian returned to Yinqing. As soon as she got home, before even entering the door, Ji Xian heard the voice of Xiao Jing's mother coming from inside. The woman's tone was extremely condescending, implying both overtly and covertly that for Ji Xian to marry Xiao Jing was a blessing her ancestors had earned, a fortune cultivated over several lifetimes. After all, in her eyes, her son was the most outstanding. Just then, Song Zhaoli's call came in. Ji Xian, answer the phone. Song Zhaoli's voice came from the other end, asking if she was getting married. Before Ji Xian could answer, Song Zhaoli suddenly hung up. Ji Xian stared at the disconnected call, a bit stunned, thinking Song Zhaoli must have dialed the wrong number. At this moment, the door opened, and Xiao Jing walked out of the room, all smiles. He had heard a noise outside and guessed that Ji Xian was back, so he came out to greet her. As Xiao Jing spoke, he reached out to take Ji Xian's bag, but she dodged him. Then, Ji Xian and Xiao Jing entered the house one after the other. As soon as Ji Xian saw her mother, she pushed Xiao Jing away. Her mother looked at Ji Xian and asked with concern why she was back so late. Ji Xian just made an excuse about having something to do at the company. Hearing her words, Xiao Jing's mother just sneered. Ji Xian was just a lowly department manager. How busy could she be? Could she be busier than Xiao Jing? You should know that Xiao Jing was a vice president now. Besides, this date was set by them long ago, not decided at the last minute. For Ji Xian to still be late meant she didn't take it seriously. Seeing this, Xiao Jing quickly stepped forward to placate his mother. He told her that Ji Xian had just returned from a business trip today and asked her to say a few words less. But his mother wasn't having it. Instead, she felt that Xiao Jing was utterly spineless. They weren't even married yet, and Ji Xian could already order Xiao Jing around. After they got married, wouldn't Ji Xian be walking all over him? As soon as Xiao Jing's mother finished speaking, she heard Ji Xian's words. She told the woman that she wouldn't walk all over Xiao Jing, so she could rest assured. But Xiao Jing's mother didn't buy it, thinking Ji Xian was just saying nice things. After all, she had just pushed Xiao Jing right in front of her. Before Xiao Jing's mother could finish, Ji Xian cut her off. She told her that she and Xiao Jing would not be getting married at all. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone present, except for Ji Xian, was stunned. Xiao Jing's mother was furious, pointing at Ji Xian and asking her what she meant by that. Xiao Jing also looked embarrassed. He told Ji Xian that the invitations had already been sent out. If she called off the wedding now, where would Ji Xian's mother's face be? As soon as Xiao Jing finished speaking, Ji Xian threw the water in her hand at him. She looked coldly at Xiao Jing and his mother and coldly told his mother that she and Xiao Jing had already broken up a month ago. The reason was that she had caught Xiao Jing cheating with another woman. Hearing this, Xiao Jing sneered and asked Ji Xian in return, "On the night of the 17th of this month, who were you with?" Ji Xian wasn't intimidated by him. After all, she and Xiao Jing had broken up last month. Who she was with on the 17th of this month had nothing to do with Xiao Jing anymore. To make Xiao Jing give up, Ji Xian told him directly that it was her new boyfriend. On the night of the 17th, she was with her new boyfriend. At this time, in Song Zhaoli's office, Liao Bei was sitting on the sofa, a bit bored. He was really curious. Ji Xian clearly wasn't Song Zhaoli's type, so how did he fall for her? Could it be that when he sponsored Ji Xian back then, he already had such intentions? Song Zhaoli flatly denied it. Liao Bei became even more curious, wanting to know when it started. But Song Zhaoli told him it hadn't started. That night was just an accident. Ji Xian had been drugged. Liao Bei continued to ask about the second night, but all he got in return was Song Zhaoli's. "Are you looking for a beating?" Liao Bei tactfully stopped asking and changed the subject. Why did he sponsor Ji Xian back then? After all, 5 years ago, Song Zhaoli could barely protect himself. The Song family had such a huge incident, yet he still sponsored Ji Xian regardless of everything. He was scolded by the old master quite a lot in those years. Song Zhaoli didn't answer directly, but asked Liao Bei in return, "Do you still remember where the few of us were taken when we were kidnapped?" Of course, Liao Bei remembered. They were taken to Yinqing. Hearing Song Zhaoli's words, Liao Bei instantly realized. So Song Zhaoli had met Ji Xian back then. After all, Ji Xian's hometown was in Yinqing. But Song Zhaoli told him they didn't really know each other. It was just a one-sided encounter. At that time, on his way back after being rescued, he happened to come across the Ji family's bankruptcy. Ji Xian's father, Ji Jianya, had run off with the money, leaving behind only an empty shell company, and Ji Xian and her mother, a mother and daughter, left to face the creditors alone. At that time, Song Zhaoli's older brother was also gone. The Song Zhaoli of that time also had thoughts of dying. As he was walking aimlessly on an overpass, not knowing where to go, he saw Ji Xian. The Ji Xian of that time was persuading a creditor who wanted to jump off the bridge. The man threatened that if she didn't pay back the money, he would die right in front of her. But Ji Xian told him that even if he died, it would be useless. "If you believe me, give me a few years. The money my father owes you, I will pay it all back, not a cent less. Song Jiali was drawn by the sound of their argument. When he saw someone wanted to jump, he subconsciously wanted to go over and persuade them. But before he could, he suddenly realized that he himself had come to seek death. What right did he have to persuade others? Just as he was hesitating, a sentence from Ji Xian struck him like a clap of thunder in his mind, that if you die, then you really will have nothing left. After hearing this sentence, Song Jiali subconsciously looked at Ji Xian. The moment he saw her, he suddenly felt something stir in his blood. And then his whole being came back to life. The way Ji Xian looked back then was deeply engraved in Song Jiali's mind. He could never forget it. Later, he saw Ji Xian many more times. Ji Xian was indeed living with all her might. In Song Jiali's eyes, the Ji Xian of that time was like a tenacious, gesang flower on the edge of cliff. And he, at that time, was like mud that couldn't be plastered on a wall. But Ji Xian, who should have fallen even deeper into the dust than him, never to climb back up, was constantly struggling to pull herself out of the mire. It was precisely this Ji Xian that made Song Jiali also slowly start to climb out of the mire. Ji Xian's tenacity saved herself and also unknowingly saved Song Jiali. After listening to Song Jiali's recollection, Liao Bei cleared his throat and asked curiously, "So what are you planning to do now?" But Song Jiali told Liao Bei that he wasn't planning to do anything. But Liao Bei obviously didn't believe him. After all, Song Jiali's recent actions didn't look like he wasn't planning anything. Seeing that Liao Bei didn't believe him, Song Jiali asked in return, "Do you think someone of my status would be the other man?" Liao Bei frowned slightly. In his view, wasn't that exactly what Song Jiali was doing now? Eagerly letting her sleep with him. Once wasn't enough, he wanted a second time. Hearing this, Song Jiali calmly lit a cigarette. His gaze was deep. He just replied to Liao Bei, "I'm just playing around too." At this time, in Ji Xian's home in Yinqing, Ji Xian was sitting at the dining table. Her mother brought out the prepared dishes. Her mother blamed her a little for not telling her sooner when she broke up with Xiao Jing. And what made her even angrier was that Xiao Jing's parents actually had the nerve to say that Xiao Jing cheated because Ji Xian wasn't charming enough. This made her furious. But Ji Xian didn't seem to be affected by these words, comforting her mother while eating, "Don't be angry because of them. At worst, we'll just ignore them from now on." After calming down a bit, her mother asked Ji Xian about the new boyfriend she mentioned to Xiao Jing. Was it true or false? Because Ji Xian didn't want her mother to worry. She could only bite the bullet and admit it was true. Hearing this, her mother was overjoyed and quickly asked about his character. Ji Xian was evasive and started making things up. Faced with her mother's barrage of questions, Ji Xian gradually found it hard to keep up. She could only force a smile. After all, the boyfriend thing was just something she made up to deceive Xiao Jing. In reality, this person didn't exist at all. But her mother was relentless, insisting that Ji Xian bring her boyfriend home for her to see and even set the date for next weekend. Hearing this, Ji Xian immediately felt things were not good. She hadn't expected her mother to be so serious about it. The next day, when Ji Xian was about to leave, her mother didn't forget to remind her she must bring her boyfriend home next weekend. Ji Xian waved her hand dismissively. Next time for sure. After watching Ji Xian get into the car, the phone of Ji Xian's mother, Zhao Lin, suddenly rang. She answered the call. The person on the other end asked if she had made a decision after a week of consideration. Had she decided whether or not to have the surgery? Hearing this, Zhao Lin told the person she had made up her mind. She wasn't going to have the surgery. She didn't want to become a burden to Ji Xian. In Qingcheng, at Ji Xian's home, Wu Shu was visiting Ji Xian's home. Ji Xian told him that her mother wanted her to bring her boyfriend home next weekend. She also told her mother that her boyfriend works at Song Corporation. Hearing this, Wu Shu couldn't stop laughing. He pressed Ji Xian. Where was she planning to find a boyfriend to take back to show her mother? Besides, the only person Ji Xian knew at Song Corporation was Song Jiali, right? She couldn't possibly ask a playboy like Song Jiali to go. Hearing this, Ji Xian sighed. She was being pressed so urgently at the time. She hadn't considered this problem at all. Wu Shu thought for a while and suddenly remembered that his cousin works at Song Corporation. He could ask him to cooperate with Ji Xian and put on a show. As he spoke, he even had Ji Xian add his cousin as a friend so they could coordinate their stories. Just as Ji Xian opened her phone, a news alert popped up. The president of Song Corporation at a banquet with beauties, a night of passion with two beauties at a hotel. The news even included a photo of Song Zhaoli, with an arm around each woman, looking very pleased. Ji Xian looked at the comments under the news article, inexplicably furious. Wu Shu, standing by, enjoyed the drama and didn't mind stirring the pot. He teased Ji Xian, but the two men she was involved with were both handfuls. Ji Xian's expression was a bit unnatural. She casually asked Wu Shu if Song Zhaoli's scandal was real. Wu Shu told her with great certainty that it was. Among the 3 groups of models he shot today was the one who spent the night with Song Zhaoli. He heard from the makeup artist that the marks on her body were quite unspeakable. Hearing this, Ji Xian only felt a wave of disgust. When she was chopping a fish head, she used so much force it was as if she were chopping a certain person. Then, as if a switch had been flipped, she got busy in the kitchen and ended up making a sumptuous dinner for Wu Shu. As Wu Shu ate the meal Ji Xian made, the smile never left his face. He was about to fall in love with Ji Xian, but Ji Xian told him to forget it, as she still preferred men. While they were joking, someone called Ji Xian. Wu Shu answered it. Xiao Jing's voice came from the other end of the line. Xiao Jing and Mrs. Wang were caught having an affair at the Shunwei Hotel. He was calling to ask Ji Xian for help. Hearing this, Wu Shu was stunned for a moment, then burst out laughing. Then he hung up the phone without any courtesy. Ji Xian was curious about what happened to him, why he was suddenly laughing so happily. Wu Shu told her that Xiao Jing and Mrs. Wang's affair was discovered by his boss, President Wang. He was calling to ask Ji Xian for help. Just as he finished speaking, Ji Xian's phone received a threatening text message from Xiao Jing, but neither of them took it seriously. Wu Shu casually mentioned that although Song Zhaoli had scandals before, he had never been caught in the act. This time he was photographed by reporters and in the same hotel as Xiao Jing. Could it be that Song Zhaoli did it on purpose? Ji Xian didn't answer. After all, it was too incredible to believe. And at this time, in the old Song family residence, Song Zhaoli walked out with a bruised face. His driver, Shaolin, was waiting outside. Seeing Song Zhaoli come out in this state, Shaolin stepped forward to hand him his coat, but Song Zhaoli waved it away. Shaolin didn't understand. To expose Xiao Jing's affair, Song Zhaoli deliberately created scandal. And then he got a severe beating from the old master for it. Was it really worth it? Song Zhaoli didn't answer, just asked if Ji Xian had returned. Shaolin told him that Ji Xian had returned and was now in his apartment. The message Song Zhaoli had asked him to send earlier, he had already sent. Ji Xian had also added Shaolin's WeChat. Song Zhaoli took Shaolin's phone and checked their chat history. Finally, he told Shaolin to give him his WeChat account and for Shaolin to get a new one. Although Shaolin was full of doubt, he didn't ask any more questions. He still had professional ethics. On the way back, seeing that Song Zhaoli's face was covered in injuries, Shaolin asked if he should buy some medicine. At first, Song Zhaoli refused to buy medicine, but after a glance at his phone, he decided to play the victim. He then said he needed to buy some medicine. Then he started messaging Ji Xian, from asking what she was doing to later bluntly telling Ji Xian that he was injured. But no matter which message, Ji Xian didn't reply. Unwilling to give up, Song Zhaoli sent another message to Ji Xian, asking if the nursing home proposal he mentioned before was ready. Ji Xian replied in a second, asking if she should send it to his email. Looking at this instant reply, Song Zhaoli felt a bit helpless. Then Ji Xian sent the proposal to Song Zhaoli. Staring at the chat interface, Song Zhaoli was so angry he laughed. Since Ji Xian only wanted to talk business with him, then he would talk business with her. He told Ji Xian there were some problems with the proposal, but Ji Xian didn't seem to fall for this. She asked Song Zhaoli to give her the contact information of the project manager so she could communicate directly with them and adjust the proposal's content. Soon, Song Zhaoli's reply came. He told Ji Xian that he was the project manager, and he would be at Ji Xian's home in half an hour. Receiving this message, Ji Xian almost choked on the coffee she was making. Half an hour later, Song Zhaoli indeed arrived at Ji Xian's door. Ji Xian had no choice but to come out with the proposal to meet Song Zhaoli. To meet a client, she even put on light makeup and change her clothes. After seeing Shaolin, Ji Xian asked if Song Zhaoli was in the car. After getting an affirmative answer, Ji Xian opened the car door, but as soon as she opened it, a thick smell of blood hit her. Seeing Ji Xian, Song Zhaoli's first word were to ask her to help him treat his wounds. Then he would look at her proposal, fearing Ji Xian might misunderstand. He specifically added that he was really injured, not try to take advantage of her. After speaking, Song Zhaoli took off his shirt, revealing the crisscrossing wounds on his back. Ji Xian was very shocked to see those wounds. She didn't expect Song Zhaoli to have actually been beaten. Song Zhaoli didn't think much of it, and was even in the mood to tease Ji Xian, asking if she could let down her guard against him now. But Ji Xian didn't seem to want to help him. After all, there's a distinction between men and women. If he really needed it, she could take him to the hospital to have his wounds treated. Song Zhaoli didn't fall for that. He retorted with his status, was it appropriate for him to go to the hospital looking like this? Ji Xian was at a loss for words. Song Zhaoli took the opportunity to persuade her again. As the saying goes, a drop of kindness should be repaid with a gushing spring. He had done Ji Xian a favor. Ji Xian didn't understand what he meant. It wasn't until Song Zhaoli showed her the message he sent on his phone that Ji Xian understood. The mysterious person who sent her the video of the person drugging her at the same time was Song Zhaoli. And Xiao Jing being caught red-handed by President Wang was also because of Song Zhaoli. After hearing all this, Ji Xian had no reason to refuse anymore. She could only tell Song Zhaoli to take off his clothes so she could treat his wounds. Song Zhaoli was a bit surprised by her reaction, not expecting Ji Xian to trust him so easily without asking more questions. To this, Ji Xian's reply was that it wasn't necessary. Then, Song Zhaoli suggested that the space in the car was too small. It was inconvenient to treat the wounds. Besides, his car was parked at her doorstep. The two of them in the car could easily be misunderstood. It would be better to go to Ji Xian's home. But Ji Xian didn't fall for this. With a cold laugh, she asked what he was really up to. Hearing this, Song Zhaoli continued to play dumb. But Ji Xian asked again bluntly. She asked if he was still interested in her. Song Zhaoli didn't deny it. But Ji Xian said he wasn't short of women, and she wasn't the type who could afford to play games. With Song Zhaoli treating her like this, wasn't he afraid she'd latch onto him? But Song Zhaoli didn't back down. Instead, he wanted to give it a try with Ji Xian. Hearing this, Ji Xian decided to go all in. She asked Song Zhaoli if he wanted to get married. Song Zhaoli seemed not to have expected Ji Xian to be so direct. His face instantly turned bright red. Ji Xian ignored his reaction and told him on her own that she was very short on money right now. She had only had one boyfriend, and he cheated on her. Therefore, she was not in a mood to play ambiguous games with other men, so she would only date for marriage. But these words sounded different in Song Zhaoli's ears. In his view, Ji Xian was hurt by Xiao Jing, so she wanted to use him to heal her emotional wounds. In short, Song Zhaoli thought he was being used as a rebound by Ji Xian. Thus, he blurted out that he wouldn't be a rebound. Ji Xian wasn't annoyed. She just calmly asked if he still wanted to look at the proposal. While looking at the proposal, Song Zhaoli couldn't help but asked Ji Xian if she liked Xiao Jing that much. But Ji Xian didn't answer him directly. It was her private matter. She had no obligation to answer. But Song Zhaoli seemed to have misunderstood again. After reading the proposal, Song Zhaoli told Ji Xian she could come to Song Corporation to sign the contract tomorrow. Hearing this, Ji Xian breathed a sigh of relief, took the proposal, got out of the car, said goodbye to Song Zhaoli, and left. On the way back, Song Zhaoli asked Shaolin if he had ever been in a relationship. After getting an affirmative answer, he casually asked why they broke up. Shaolin told him that her family thought he was a poor boy with no future and forced him to break up with the girl. And it was his first love. Hearing this, Song Zhaoli got a headache. He asked Shaolin again, is first love hard to forget? Shaolin told him that generally, yes. After all, it's the purest emotion from when one's heart first flutters, so the impression is always very deep. Hearing Shaolin's words, Song Zhaoli felt somewhat displeased. Then he asked Shaolin about the current situation with the Xie family. Shaolin told him that old Master Xie saw the news about him with two models in a hotel room and demanded that he break off the engagement with Miss Xie. Hearing this, Song Zhaoli wasn't shocked. It was fine to just break off the engagement. He had no feelings for that Miss Xie anyway. But it seemed Miss Xie was unwilling. Her meaning was, if Song Jiali thought he could use this method to break the engagement, he could forget about it. Hearing this, Song Jiali was somewhat disdainful. He had plenty of tricks up his sleeve. And at this time, at Ji Xian's home, she received a package. At first, Ji Xian thought it was from her mother. But after opening the package, she found a bloody dead cat inside. Ji Xian was startled, unable to figure out who sent it. Then, her phone received a text from an unknown number. The message asked if she liked the cat he sent. Ji Xian asked who the person was, but they didn't tell her. They just sent 2 hateful messages, saying her father deserved to die, and she deserved to die too. They also threatened Ji Xian not to call the police, or she would never find her father in this lifetime. Ji Xian didn't believe the person's words until the person told her. He had the blue shirt Ji Xian's father was wearing when he left. Only then did Ji Xian realize that what the person said might be true. She dialed the person's phone number, but no one answered. Ji Xian secretly resolved that no matter who it was, if it happened again, she would not let them off. While Ji Xian was soaking in the bath, she drowsily answered a call from Song Jiali. The other person seemed to have dialed the wrong number, thinking she was Shaolin. He asked him to come over, saying he had a fever. Ji Xian tried to tell Song Jiali he had the wrong number, but Song Jiali didn't listen, just insisted that she buy some fever medicine and come over. Then he hung up the phone. Ji Xian wanted to call Shaolin and asked him to buy medicine for Song Jiali. But at this very moment, Shaolin's phone was unreachable. Helpless, Ji Xian felt that she and Song Jiali must have clashing horoscopes. But she couldn't just ignore it, so she took some fever medicine and went to Song Jiali's house. Ji Xian stood at the door and rang the bell for a long time. No one came to open the door. Ji Xian started to wonder if Song Jiali had already passed out. Just as Ji Xian was about to go back, her phone suddenly rang. It was Shaolin. Shaolin had fallen asleep. He missed Ji Xian's call. After waking up and seeing her missed call, he quickly called back. Ji Xian told Shaolin about Song Jiali's wrong number and that she was now at the gate of Song Jiali's villa, but there was no response after ringing the bell for a long time. Hearing this, Shaolin casually said that he could just give her the gate code so she could go straight in. Hearing this, Ji Xian was full of question marks. So he was using her as a nanny? After Shaolin gave Ji Xian the code, Ji Xian opened the door and entered Song Jiali's house. As soon as she entered the living room, Ji Xian heard the sound of coughing. She followed the sound to Song Jiali's room door. She raised her hand and knocked, but the only response from the room was Song Jiali's muffled cough. Ji Xian turned the doorknob and entered Song Jiali's room, placing the medicine she bought on his bedside table. Looking at Song Jiali lying in bed, completely dazed from the high fever, Ji Xian knew that it was because his wounds had gotten infected and inflamed. That's why he was burning up like this. Ji Xian reached out and placed her hand on Song Jiali's forehead to check his temperature. Looking at Song Jiali, who seemed incredibly well-behaved due to the high fever, Ji Xian muttered that when Song Jiali wasn't talking, he really resembled a little puppy. But she was also curious about who had beaten Song Jiali up like this. The dazed Song Jiali probably felt the coolness of Ji Xian's palm. He reached out and grabbed Ji Xian's hand on his forehead, asking for water in a hoarse voice. Hearing this, Ji Xian got up to get water for Song Jiali. Unexpectedly, Song Jiali pulled hard, yanking her onto the bed and pulling her into his arms. Ji Xian felt the world spin, and while her head was still reeling, Song Jiali suddenly leaned in, his tone carrying a hint of warning, asking if she thought he wouldn't dare. Before Ji Xian could ask what he wouldn't dare to do, she was pushed down and forcefully kissed by Song Jiali. Ji Xian tried to push him away, but she didn't succeed. Instead, it had a hint of playing hard to get. After kissing his fill, Song Jiali finally let her go. He told Ji Xian that he actually tried to avoid it that night, but it was Ji Xian who kept clinging to him. But what Ji Xian was thinking was that she really had no other choice that night. But at this moment, Song Jiali seemed to still be in a daze. He suddenly cursed, "Ungrateful wolf." While Ji Xian was stunned, Song Jiali mumbled again, "Raised him for so many years for nothing." After mumbling this sentence, Song Jiali collapsed on Ji Xian and fell into a deep sleep. It took a lot of effort for Ji Xian to settle Song Jiali properly on the bed. After settling him, Ji Xian got off the bed. Thinking about what Song Jiali just said, "Raised him for so many many years for nothing. She was a bit confused, not understanding what he meant. Looking at the sleeping Song Jiali before her, Ji Xian started to suspect that maybe he was just delirious from the fever and talking nonsense just now. After pouring the water, Ji Xian returned to Song Jiali's bedside. She tried to wake him up to take his medicine, but Song Jiali was still sound asleep, showing no signs of waking up. Helpless, Ji Xian could only prop him up and forcibly feed him medicine. Afterwards, Ji Xian messaged Shaolin. She told him that Song Jiali had taken the medicine. Her task was complete, and she was going home now. But the message Shaolin sent back made Ji Xian want to beat him up. Shaolin asked her to help take care of Song Jiali for one night, as he was temporarily tied up. And Song Jiali didn't have the habit of being cared for by maids, so he could only ask Ji Xian. Ji Xian was speechless when she saw this excuse. He doesn't have the habit of being cared for by maids, but he has the habit of being cared for by an outsider. The habits of the rich are truly niche. But Ji Xian didn't refuse outright. Looking at Song Jiali lying in bed, delirious with fever, she thought that since she was already here, it was just a small effort. Ji Xian lay on the sofa in Song Jiali's living room, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. So she picked up her phone and messaged her friend Wu Shu, asking what he was doing. Wu Shu replied almost instantly, telling Ji Xian that he was helping a colleague stake out her boyfriend. And the person he was staking out was none other than Song Jiali's childhood friend, Liao Bei. Seeing this message, Ji Xian sat up from the sofa. Staking someone out in the middle of the night was too unsafe, wasn't it? Wu Shu replied quickly, teasing Ji Xian, asking if she had been asked to work overtime by her client again. Ji Xian was a bit helpless. She told him the truth, that she was currently lying on the sofa in Song Jiali's living room. Seeing this, Wu Shu instantly got excited. He didn't expect his good friend to be so wild. Ji Xian knew he had misunderstood. She was instantly speechless. Seeing this, Wu Shu stopped joking with her. He told Ji Xian that his cousin he mentioned before was free on the weekend. He would arrange for them to meet first and coordinate their stories to avoid being exposed in front of Xiaolin. Ji Xian thought for a moment. She set the meeting time for the next evening, as she happened to be free. Then, Ji Xian put down her phone and fell asleep on the sofa. The next morning, Song Jiali's fever had mostly subsided. After washing up, he came to the living room and saw Ji Xian still fast asleep on the sofa. Then, Ji Xian's phone beeped. It was a text message notification. Song Jiali picked up her phone and took a look. It was a threatening text from a stranger, warning Ji Xian not to think she was safe just because she had blocked him. In his view, Ji Xian's action was undoubtedly courting death. Seeing this text, Song Jiali's face instantly darkened. Just then, Ji Xian also woke up. Seeing her phone in Song Jiali's hand, she was a bit flustered. Song Jiali didn't address her question. Instead, he asked her who the person sending her threatening text was. Ji Xian reached out and snatched her phone back, telling him in a flat tone that she didn't know either. Yesterday, the person used another number to text her, but she had already blocked it. Song Jiali didn't quite understand her approach. Instead of calling the police when encountering such a thing, she chose to block the person. What good would that do? Ji Xian looked troubled and told Song Jiali that she wasn't him, who could act recklessly. She had people she must consider. Song Jiali looked at Ji Xian's back, lost in thought. A moment later, he picked up his phone and dialed a number, asking the person to trace a phone number for him and send it to him later. Ji Xian was a bit surprised to hear Song Jiali's words. She didn't expect Song Jiali to offer to help her. After hanging up, Song Jiali sent the phone number to the person he had just called. Then he looked up at Ji Xian and asked if she had brought the contract. Ji Xian told him the contract was still at the company. She hadn't brought it. Song Jiali was calm. He directly told Ji Xian that she could take his car to Wansheng to get the contract first, and then go to Song Corporation to sign it. As he was speaking, Song Jiali suddenly turned to look at Ji Xian behind him. He asked her if he had done anything to her last night. Hearing Song Jiali's words, Ji Xian felt a bit guilty thinking about last night's events. But she didn't plan to tell him, so she flatly denied it. Hearing this, Song Jiali didn't press further, just let out a soft laugh. Then, Song Jiali led Ji Xian to the dining table. The table was already filled with a sumptuous meal. Ji Xian looked a bit surprised. Song Jiali told her it was to thank her for staying to help him last night, and he had specially had Zhao Yi prepare it. Zhao Yi stood aside, looking at Ji Xian with a loving smile. She casually said that Ji Xian looked even more beautiful than when she was in school. Hearing this, Song Zhaoli quickly interrupted Zhao Yi, telling her to go about her own business. Ji Xian, however, didn't notice. What was wrong with Zhao Yi's words? After they had eaten and drunk their fill, they went to the garage. Song Zhaoli, with practiced ease, opened the passenger door of Ji Xian's car. Ji Xian was a bit surprised to see this. Song Zhaoli teased her. Could it be that her expression was because the passenger seat is reserved for her boyfriend? Ji Xian told him she thought Song Zhaoli would sit in the back, as bosses usually sit in the back of the car. Just as Ji Xian finished speaking, Song Zhaoli received a call. After hanging up, Song Zhaoli's expression was a bit grave. Ji Xian couldn't help but be curious and asked if something had happened. Song Zhaoli looked at his phone screen and told Ji Xian in a calm tone that the person who sent her threatening texts, his people had found him. Ji Xian looked at the information about that person on Song Zhaoli's phone, a bit surprised. Song Zhaoli looked at her expression and teased her, asking if she was afraid to confront the person. Ji Xian shook her head, saying that wasn't it, but she still wanted to confirm. If it was really this person, Song Zhaoli was completely at ease. After all, his subordinates were not useless. Looking at it this way, the results seemed to be set in stone. Ji Xian said nothing more. Song Zhaoli was a bit curious what she would do. Ji Xian hadn't decided yet. After all, the person's identity was truly shocking to her. Song Zhaoli wasn't in a hurry. He just slowly said that he could help her. But this time, Ji Xian clearly refused. After all, Song Zhaoli had already helped her many times. And when a man shows kindness to a woman, it's either out of pity or lust. And Ji Xian disliked both. So she was somewhat resistant to Song Zhaoli's help. Song Zhaoli seemed to have expected this result and wasn't angry. He had plenty of time. There would be plenty of opportunities in the future. In the end, he just reminded Ji Xian that if she needed anything, she could find him anytime. The two arrived at Song Corporation. In Song Zhaoli's office, while looking at the contract in his hand, he asked Ji Xian beside him why she came to Qingsheng in the first place. Was it for Xiao Jing? Ji Xian frankly told him it wasn't. It was because Wansheng offered a high price, so she came. Hearing this, Song Zhaoli let out a soft laugh. He seemed unsatisfied with this answer and continued to ask if there were any other reasons. Ji Xian's tone was calm. She told Song Zhaoli she wasn't a lovesick fool. Song Zhaoli looked at her. He asked her if she would come to Song Corporation if they offered her a higher price. Hearing this, Ji Xian was tempted. If what Song Zhaoli said was true, she could indeed consider it. After learning that Ji Xian's annual salary was 600,000, Song Zhaoli directly offered an annual salary of 1.2 million. He asked Ji Xian to complete the handover at Wansheng and then report to Song Corporation. But Ji Xian didn't agree immediately. She just told Song Zhaoli that she was grateful, but she also knew she wasn't worth that price. Song Zhaoli was a bit surprised. He didn't expect Ji Xian to refuse. Ji Xian's reason was that she wasn't complaining about having too much money, but that effort and reward should be proportional. If her position didn't match her worth, the money would become a deadly curse. After saying this, Ji Xian's phone rang. It was Wu Shu. The person on the other end was crying, asking Ji Xian to come to the police station. He had been arrested by the police for splashing paint. Ji Xian was a bit helpless, but agreed. After hanging up, she said goodbye to Song Zhaoli and left. As Ji Xian opened the door, Song Zhaoli suddenly spoke up, asking if she was really not considering coming to Song Corporation. Ji Xian hesitated for a moment, then told Song Zhaoli she would consider it, but on the condition that the salary Song Zhaoli offered matched her abilities and that Song Zhaoli could no longer harass her. Then Ji Xian left Song Zhaoli's office. After arriving at the police station, Ji Xian quickly asked Wu Shu what had happened. It turned out Wu Shu had been staking out the wrong person. The cheater his colleague mentioned was Liao Jing, but he had staked out Liao Bei. Then, to help his colleague get revenge, he had splashed paint on Liao Bei's car. And that car, of all things, was a Ferrari costing over 4 million. At this time, Liao Bei was also at the police station, discussing with the officer in charge of the case to have Wu Shu buy the car for 3 million. The officer was in a difficult position. After all, looking at Wu Shu, he really didn't seem like someone who could come up with 3 million. At this moment, Liao Bei turned his head and saw Ji Xian. His eyes lit up, pleasantly surprised. He didn't expect Ji Xian to be here. Ji Xian was surprised that Liao Bei knew her. Realizing he had let it slip, Liao Bei quickly tried to remedy the situation. He told Ji Xian that he was Bushi, the person who had been sponsoring Ji Xian. Liao Bei's strange logic was that Bushi was Song Zhaoli, and Song Zhaoli was his brother. Therefore, he could be Bushi. As soon as she heard that Liao Bei was Bushi, Ji Xian's eyes also lit up. The misunderstanding between them was thus created. Liao Bei was about to explain that he wasn't actually Bushi. But unexpectedly, Ji Xian firmly believed it and even thanked him for his sponsorship over the years. At this time, Liao Bei also saw Wu Shu hiding behind Ji Xian and asked about their relationship. Ji Xian told him that Wu Shu was her best friend. As for the compensation Wu Shu owed, they would definitely pay every cent. It just might take a bit longer. At this point, Liao Bei told the officer that he wanted to withdraw the case. He didn't want the compensation either. But Ji Xian felt that wasn't right. After all, it wasn't a small sum of money. Then Liao Bei looked at Wu Shu and proposed that Wu Shu be his caretaker for 2 months, after which they would be even. Wu Shu felt a bit uneasy. Weren't 2 months a bit too short? After all, it was 3 million. Seeing this, Liao Bei proposed half a year. Then he hurriedly slipped away. Unexpectedly, just as he got out the door, he was caught up by Ji Xian. Ji Xian wanted Liao Bei's contact information. Liao Bei didn't refuse, but told her not to mention paying back the money again. After the two added each other as friends, Liao Bei immediately jumped into his sports car. He stepped on the gas and sped away. Wu Shu found it strange watching the back of Liao Bei's sports car. Why did Liao Bei look like he was running away? On the way back, Liao Bei called Song Zhaoli and asked him what his reaction would be if he did a good deed, and someone else took the credit for it. Song Zhaoli's tone was indifferent, just saying it would depend on what the good deed was. Liao Bei had no choice but to say it was about sponsoring Ji Xian's education. Hearing this, Song Zhaoli's expression darkened. He squeezed out 2 words through his teeth, courting death. Afterward, Liao Bei went to Song Zhaoli's office to plead for forgiveness. He told Song Zhaoli the whole story from beginning to end, then hugged Song Zhaoli's leg and started begging for mercy. But Song Zhaoli, with a dark face, cursed at him to get lost. While the two were entangled, Wu Shu called Liao Bei, saying that Ji Xian was at the police station. He wanted to ask for a day off. Liao Bei quickly asked what happened. Wu Shu told him that Ji Xian had been attacked by Xiao Jing's mother. After learning the reason, Liao Bei generously granted Wu Shu's leave. At this moment, Song Zhaoli's concern was almost written all over his face. He was a bit flustered by Liao Bei's teasing. After Wu Shu's matter was resolved, he called Liao Bei. After chatting for a bit, Liao Bei decided to bring Song Zhaoli along to Ji Xian's house for a barbecue. On the way home with Wu Shu was still frantically complaining about Xiao Jing's mother. Ji Xian tried to calm him down a bit. Wu Shu suddenly remembered he had forgotten something and went back to the car to get it. No sooner had Wu Shu left than Xiao Jing appeared. He rushed in front of Ji Xian, telling her he would make his mother apologize. Ji Xian dodged his touch and told Xiao Jing that she just wanted them to stay far away from her now. She didn't want to have anything to do with them anymore. Xiao Jing was completely enraged by her words. He grabbed Ji Xian's clothes and angrily accused her of acting all high and mighty when she had previously insisted on waiting until after marriage to have relations. But not long ago, she was getting so wild with Song Zhaoli in a car. Ji Xian didn't deny it, directly admitting that the person was Song Zhaoli. Then she deliberately provoked Xiao Jing. She just wasn't willing to have relations with him before marriage. But if it were Song Zhaoli, she wouldn't even need a hotel room. The car would be fine. But so what? What did it have to do with Xiao Jing? When Song Zhaoli drove over, he saw this exact scene of Xiao Jing harassing Ji Xian. During their argument, Ji Xian couldn't take it anymore, provoking Xiao Jing to hit her if he dared. Xiao Jing's temper flared up too, and he threatened her, telling her to hit him if she dared. As a result, just as Xiao Jing finished speaking, he was slapped by Ji Xian. Xiao Jing was stunned on the spot. Just as he was about to hit back, he was kicked to the ground by Song Zhaoli, who had rushed out of his car. Ji Xian didn't expect Song Zhaoli to suddenly appear and was a bit surprised. Song Zhaoli walked up to Ji Xian and asked with a concerned look if she was okay. Before Ji Xian could answer, Xiao Jing scrambled up from the ground. Seeing that it was Song Zhaoli, Xiao Jing's expression instantly turned ugly. Song Zhaoli looked coldly at Xiao Jing, warned him to get lost, and that he'd better not let him see him ever again. Seeing Song Zhaoli arrive, Xiao Jing didn't dare to pester her any longer and scrambled away. And just then, Liao Bei also arrived and greeted the two. Wu Shu was also surprised to see them. He never expected Song Zhaoli to come. Liao Bei was nonchalant, telling them directly that Song Zhaoli was just there to freeload a meal. Wu Shu and Ji Xian, although surprised, didn't say anything. When the barbecue started, Song Zhaoli and Liao Bei were discussing what to drink. Meanwhile, Wu Shu was behind them, whispering to Ji Xian. He asked if she might have gotten the wrong person. Was Liao Bei really her sponsor? Ji Xian was a bit puzzled, but understood what Wu Shu meant. Wu Shu told Ji Xian that Liao Bei was a regular at nightclubs and didn't seem like the type of person who would do something like this. But Ji Xian felt it was true. After all, even her mother, Zhao Lin, didn't know the sponsor's name, but Liao Bei knew. Just as the two were discussing it, Song Zhaoli suddenly walked over and asked if they needed help. Seeing this, Wu Shu tactfully made an excuse about needing to wash vegetables and left. Ji Xian, naturally, refused Song Zhaoli's kind offer again and also thanked him for his help earlier. But Song Zhaoli didn't leave right away. Instead, he walked behind Ji Xian and helped tidy her hair. As Song Zhaoli tidied her hair, he told her there was no need to be polite. After all, even without him, he believed Ji Xian could handle it herself. At this moment, Wu Shu, who was watching from the side, saw this scene and instantly became alert. Wasn't Song Zhaoli obviously flirting with Ji Xian? And Liao Bei was incredibly excited to see this. He quickly took out a small notebook to write it down, so he could use it to pick up girls in the future. Wu Shu, standing to the side, suddenly coughed, bringing them both back to reality. He reminded them they could sit down and start eating. Liao Bei, being very perceptive, had Song Zhaoli sit next to Ji Xian. After sitting down, Liao Bei looked at the food in front of him. His mouth watered. Ji Xian picked up a piece of beef and gave it to Liao Bei, asking him to taste it. As a result, this gesture from Ji Xian instantly made Song Zhaoli extremely jealous. He shot a threatening look at Liao Bei and spoke in a sarcastic tone. He remembered that Liao Bei never ate beef. Liao Bei knew Song Zhaoli was jealous, so he went along with it. He refused Ji Xian's kind gesture, using the excuse that he didn't like beef, and passed the beef Ji Xian had picked for him to Song Zhaoli. Song Zhaoli didn't stand on ceremony. He picked up the beef and slowly put it in his mouth, then commented that it tasted good. Ji Xian didn't think anything was wrong and continued eating the barbecue. Later, Wu Shu suddenly spoke up, telling her not to forget to bring his brother home to meet her mother this Saturday. Previously, to reassure her mother, she had said her boyfriend was from the Song Corporation. Her mother wanted her to bring her boyfriend home on the weekend, so she had no choice but to ask Wu Shu's brother to help by pretending to be her boyfriend. Ji Xian nodded, saying she wouldn't forget. At this point, Wu Shu was still joking, telling Ji Xian that when she marries his brother, she must give him 2 big red envelopes. One as a gift for the new family title, and one as a matchmaker's fee. Hearing their conversation, Song Zhaoli's hand on the table clenched into a tight fist, and his expression became very gloomy. Liao Bei watched from the side, not daring to breathe, and shot Song Zhaoli a look, teasing him that someone had beaten him to it again. Others are the eternal second place, but he, Song Zhaoli, is the eternal other man. This teasing earned him a bone-chilling glare from Song Zhaoli. After the 4 of them finished eating, Liao Bei suddenly remembered he had also brought wine and took it out, asking if they wanted to have a drink. Ji Xian didn't refuse, but just said that she and Wu Shu were not heavy drinkers and could only have a little. Liao Bei didn't mind, saying however much they could drink was fine. Song Zhaoli sat to the side, lost in thought. Then Liao Bei walked over to Ji Xian with a wine bottle to pour her a drink. Ji Xian was pleasantly surprised and thanked Liao Bei. Liao Bei told her not to be so formal. Tonight, their main goal was to drink well, but not get drunk. Ji Xian downed the wine in her glass. She was surprised to find that the wine tasted quite good and couldn't help but have a few more glasses. As they drank and chatted, Ji Xian looked at Liao Bei and asked curiously why he had chosen the name Boshi for her back then. Did it have some other meaning? Ji Xian's eyes were full of expectation as she looked at Liao Bei. Song Zhaoli, seeing this from the side, had a dark expression. At that moment, he just wanted to beat Liao Bei to a pulp. Seeing Liao Bei's delayed response, Ji Xian thought he was unwilling to say. Little did she know that cold sweat was already beating on Liao Bei's forehead. Song Zhaoli, unable to watch any longer, spoke up and explained, Bo Shi, Chieshi, Bangji, Jieshi. Bo generally refers to an older brother, but here it means husband. Ji Xian had drunk a bit too much, and her mind couldn't quite process it. She had clearly asked Liao Bei, so why was Song Jiali answering? Wu Shu, seeing this, was also confused. He questioned Song Jiali why he was answering, since Ji Xian hadn't asked him. Liao Bei saw that the situation was getting awkward and quickly cut in, saying that's enough drinking for today. Everyone should disperse. Then Liao Bei walked up to Song Jiali, intending to leave with him. But Song Jiali said he wanted to stay for a cup of tea before leaving. Liao Bei looked at Song Jiali, speechless, as if he didn't know that Song Jiali didn't want tea. He couldn't even be bothered to say it. Song Jiali's eyes urged Liao Bei to leave quickly. Liao Bei took the hint and dragged Wu Shu with him, offering to give Wu Shu a ride home. Wu Shu was a bit unhappy, thinking Liao Bei wanted him to pay him back now. Hearing this, Liao Bei quickly explained that he just wanted to give him a ride home. But Wu Shu was also a bit drunk and said he wanted to stay at Ji Xian's place tonight. Seeing this, Liao Bei quickly pulled him along, telling him that his driver was downstairs and could drop him off on the way. As Wu Shu was being dragged away, he was still protesting, shouting that he wanted to sleep with Ji Xian. After they left, Song Jiali poured Ji Xian a cup of tea, telling her to sober up. Ji Xian's mind was fuzzy. She asked Song Jiali where Wu Shu went. Song Jiali told her that Wu Shu was given a ride home by Liao Bei. Ji Xian took the tea and said thanks. She looked at Song Jiali, who still hadn't left, a bit puzzled. Everyone else had left. Why was he still here? Song Jiali didn't answer, but instead asked Ji Xian why she went to the police station tonight. Ji Xian told Song Jiali it was because Xiao Jing's mother had cornered her at the community entrance and spread rumors in front of many people, so she called the police. Hearing Xiao Jing's name, Song Jiali was displeased. Then Ji Xian said with a headache that Xiao Jing already knew her sugar daddy was Song Jiali. Song Jiali was unhappy with this title. He walked up to Ji Xian and reached out to stroke her face. Ji Xian, still in a daze, explained to him that it meant Song Jiali was her other man. Hearing this, Song Jiali chuckled, teasing her that if he were her other man, could she afford to keep him? Ji Xian, in her daze, asked, "Are you very expensive?" Song Jiali leaned in close to her, asking in a bewitching tone if she wanted to try. Unsurprisingly, the two started kissing again. In the heat of the moment, Ji Xian and Song Jiali spent their third passionate night together. After their tryst, the next morning, Ji Xian woke up in Song Jiali's arms. Looking at the drowsy person in his arms, Song Jiali propped his head up with one hand and watched her. Ji Xian looked like she didn't want to acknowledge what happened, and after being teased by Song Jiali, she closed her eyes and played dead. But Song Jiali didn't seem to plan on letting her go. He reached out and played with a strand of Ji Xian's hair, asking if she wasn't going to say something. But as soon as Ji Xian opened her mouth, she was interrupted by Song Jiali. It couldn't be something like, "Thank you," and then inviting him to a meal again, could it? Ji Xian turned her head away and rolled over to face away from Song Jiali. She stated clearly that they were both adults. For what happened last night, they were each half responsible, so they were even. However, Song Jiali seemed quite dissatisfied with this answer. He leaned in front of Ji Xian, his tone displeased. Ji Xian turned to look at him, not understanding what he wanted. Song Jiali leaned over Ji Xian, his gaze burning as he looked at her, asking Ji Xian, "Does this mean I can do whatever I want?" Feeling Song Jiali pressing down on her, Ji Xian couldn't help but feel nervous. Her mind started racing. With Song Jiali's status, he wouldn't ask her to do something like murder or arson, would he? What if he asked her to do something she couldn't do? What would she do then? Drinking really causes trouble. Seeing Ji Xian's nervous expression, the corners of Song Jiali's mouth lifted into a meaningful smile. He then got up and started getting dressed. While dressing, he told Ji Xian that he hadn't thought of it yet, how this matter should be handled. Song Jiali told Ji Xian that this time, she could consider it as owing him a favor. When he thought of how he wanted her to repay it, he would contact her. Ji Xian was stunned to hear this. How did it become her owing Song Jiali a favor? Hearing this, Song Jiali began to use his ability to talk nonsense and twist the truth. Right now, Ji Xian has a boyfriend, but he is single. In this relationship, no matter how you look at it, he, Song Jiali, was the one at a disadvantage. Hearing Song Jiali's words, Ji Xian was instantly dumbfounded. This was pure sophistry. How did it become him, Song Zhaoli, being at a disadvantage? Clearly, last night he also... Before Ji Xian could finish, her phone started ringing. Song Zhaoli, while adjusting his clothes, casually reminded Ji Xian that her phone was ringing. It would be better to answer it first. Ji Xian answered the phone. The person on the other end was Wu Shu. Seeing her answer the phone, Song Zhaoli also moved closer to her, sitting on the bed and staring intently at Ji Xian, trying to hear the content of the call. Wu Shu told Ji Xian that he had caused trouble again today and was calling her for help. Ji Xian asked Wu Shu what happened. The other party's words made Ji Xian's head spin. Wu Shu had beaten Liao Bei and sent him to the hospital, and Liao Bei was still unconscious. According to the nurse, Liao Bei would probably wake up in about half an hour. Right now, Wu Shu was completely terrified, which was why he called Ji Xian for help. Hearing Wu Shu's words, Ji Xian felt her head spin. She quickly hung up the phone and started to figure out what to do. After all, from Ji Xian's perspective, Liao Bei was still her sponsor, her benefactor. After hanging up, Song Zhaoli leaned in front of Ji Xian and asked with concern what had happened. Ji Xian looked at Song Zhaoli with a guilty expression. After a moment of hesitation, she decided to tell Song Zhaoli that Liao Bei was in the hospital. She asked Song Zhaoli if he wanted to go see him. Song Zhaoli's expression was calm, seemingly not showing much emotional fluctuation over Liao Bei being hospitalized. After all, he still had the energy to flirt with Ji Xian, taking the opportunity to kiss her again. He also told Ji Xian that he would wait for her outside the door and they would go together. Faced with Song Zhaoli's repeated intimate contact, Ji Xian finally realized. She clearly wanted to draw a line with Song Zhaoli. So how did they become more and more entangled? Soon, Ji Xian got dressed and ready. Then she went out the door. When Song Zhaoli saw Ji Xian, his eyes lit up. But Ji Xian didn't seem to want much contact with him and walked straight past Song Zhaoli. Song Zhaoli followed behind Ji Xian, raising an eyebrow slightly at her back. He knew Ji Xian all too well. This attitude of hers clearly meant she wanted to draw a line with him again. Thinking of this, Song Zhaoli couldn't help but feel displeased. The look he gave Ji Xian became complicated. Ji Xian walked ahead of Song Zhaoli, feeling the gloomy gaze from behind her, and couldn't help but feel a bit guilty. The two soon arrived at the hospital. They found Liao Bei's hospital room. At this time, Liao Bei had already woken up, but he was still in a daze. His head was wrapped in bandages, and his arm was in a cast. It was clear that Wu Shu hadn't held back. Liao Bei looked at Ji Xian, who was smiling awkwardly in front of him, his mind still a bit fuzzy. Ji Xian looked at Liao Bei, also feeling awkward. Just after greeting Liao Bei, Wu Shu threw himself into Ji Xian's arms. He had finally been waiting for Ji Xian to arrive. Otherwise, he wouldn't have known what to do. He never expected Liao Bei to be so fragile. He had only hit him lightly a couple of times, and the man actually broke a bone. Just after complaining, Wu Shu saw Song Zhaoli following behind Ji Xian. He was so scared he jumped. He never expected Song Zhaoli to be here. He quickly began to explain to Song Zhaoli that he didn't mean to hit Liao Bei. Then, as if realizing something, Wu Shu pulled Ji Xian aside and asked her why she came with Song Zhaoli again. As soon as he finished speaking, Wu Shu immediately realized that the two must have done that kind of thing again. For a moment, he didn't know what to say. What was going on with these two? Ji Xian stammered and told Wu Shu that last night she didn't think too much and it just happened naturally. Wu Shu was a bit puzzled and asked Ji Xian if she was really going to be with Song Zhaoli. Hearing this, Ji Xian didn't answer, but changed the subject, asking Wu Shu what exactly happened. Wu Shu told Ji Xian that it was all an accident. Last night, Liao Bei insisted on walking him upstairs. He thought Liao Bei had improper intentions towards him, so he directly gave Liao Bei a shoulder throw, followed by a couple of light kicks. And that's how Liao Bei ended up like this. At this moment, Song Zhaoli was standing by Liao Bei's hospital bed. Looking at Liao Bei's condition, he couldn't help but tease him, asking if he was really just beaten up and not in a car accident. Liao Bei was so angry at Song Zhaoli's teasing that he wailed that he was heartless. He was already in this state, and Song Zhaoli was still joking with him. Ji Xian looked at Liao Bei on the hospital bed, and then looked helplessly at Wu Shu. So this was what he called lightly. Hearing this, Wu Shu looked a bit guilty. Then Wu Shu looked at Liao Bei and bowed in apology. He shouldn't have been so heavy-handed last night. He hoped Liao Bei would be magnanimous and not hold it against him. Hearing this, Liao Bei turned his head away not wanting to acknowledge Wu Shu at all. Then Ji Xian placed a card on the bedside table, telling Liao Bei there was money in the card, but because it was sudden, it might not be enough for the medical fees. She and Wu Shu would definitely make up the rest later. And Wu Shu had already recognized his mistake and was willing to make amends. She hoped he could be lenient and forgive Wu Shu. Song Zhaoli also spoke up to help Wu Shu. Liao Bei still didn't give a response. Then Song Zhaoli walked up to Ji Xian and told her to take Wu Shu home to rest, since Wu Shu had been up all night. But Ji Xian refused. After all, Wu Shu was indeed at fault in this matter. Regardless of whether Liao Bei forgave him or not, they had to do what needed to be done. So it was better for them to be the caregivers. As soon as she finished speaking, Ji Xian received a text message on her phone. It was from an unknown number. The message said he had information on Ji Xian's father's whereabouts and wanted Ji Xian to prepare 500,000 to buy the information. Hearing Ji Xian say she wanted to take care of Liao Bei, Song Zhaoli's expression clearly changed. He persuaded Ji Xian that she was so busy she shouldn't worry about these things. Ji Xian wanted to say more, but was directly interrupted by Song Zhaoli. Song Zhaoli directly stated that Liao Bei wouldn't mind. Poor Liao Bei had no right to speak from the side. He was about to open his mouth, but was scared into silence by a look from Song Zhaoli. Seeing this, Liao Bei quickly changed his tune, saying he didn't mind. Ji Xian's face lit up. She thanked Song Zhaoli and Liao Bei for their understanding. She and Wu Shu would definitely make up the rest of the money as soon as possible. Wu Shu was still apologizing to Liao Bei, saying he would definitely pay attention to his strength next time. Hearing Wu Shu's words, Ji Xian was a bit helpless. He's planning for next time? Before Ji Xian could say more, Wu Shu directly pulled her away. After leaving the room, Ji Xian and Wu Shu walked down the hospital corridor. She couldn't help but start lecturing him. Wu Shu's father had made him practice martial arts to build up his body, but now Wu Shu was actually using it to bully the weak. Ji Xian's words made Wu Shu feel ashamed, and he repeatedly said he really knew he was wrong this time. He definitely wouldn't let Ji Xian pay for those medical expenses. After saying this, Wu Shu suddenly remembered that Ji Xian seemed to have received a text message earlier. After reading it, Ji Xian's expression had turned ugly. Wu Shu asked Ji Xian what the text was. Ji Xian told Wu Shu it was from Xiao Jing. He had been using a strange number to send her cryptic text messages. She had originally planned to deal with Xiao Jing after she was less busy, but it seemed she couldn't wait any longer. After hearing this, Wu Shu was also furious. Who would have thought Xiao Jing could be so disgusting? If Ji Xian needed it, he would help her beat Xiao Jing up to let off some steam. Hearing Wu Shu's words, Ji Xian was a bit helpless. She pinched his cheek and asked irritably if he hadn't learned his lesson, having just put someone in the hospital not long ago. Wu Shu rubbed his face and said pitifully that he was just worried about Ji Xian. Ji Xian told him not to worry, that she could handle everything. During their conversation, Song Zhaoli also walked out of the hospital room and happened to overhear their conversation. That night in the parking lot, a black car stopped in front of Ji Xian. The window slowly rolled down. The person in the car was President Wang. Ji Xian had asked him to meet to deal with Xiao Jing. She told President Wang directly that she was going to deal with Xiao Jing, but might involve his wife. That's why she asked President Wang to meet and explain in advance. Moreover, Ji Xian had already guessed that with President Wang's connections and methods, Xiao Jing could no longer establish himself in Qingqing. Hearing this, President Wang became curious. Wanted to know how Ji Xian planned to deal with Xiao Jing. Ji Xian told President Wang that she planned to go to Xiao Jing's hometown and stir up some trouble to cut off his retreat. Hearing Ji Xian's words, President Wang was rather surprised. After all, Ji Xian was a young woman and a leader in her company. Making such a scene would inevitably be embarrassing. But Ji Xian wasn't afraid. This was what Xiao Jing deserved. Even if there was retribution, it wouldn't fall on her. Hearing Ji Xian's words, President Wang couldn't say much more. He just told her to go ahead and do it. Anyway, he was already preparing for divorce proceedings. Then, as if unintentionally, President Wang casually asked why she didn't ask Song Zhaoli for help. To this, Ji Xian replied that her relationship with Song Zhaoli wasn't that close. After that, Ji Xian left without looking back. Back in her car, Ji Xian felt a bit baffled, not knowing why President Wang suddenly mentioned Song Zhaoli. But now is not the time to dwell on it. Stabilizing Xiao Jing was the top priority. Then, Ji Xian sent a text to Xiao Jing, asking if he really knew. Xiao Jing naturally replied that he did. Then Ji Xian told him that 500,000 was not a small sum, and she needed 2 days to prepare it. Xiao Jing easily took the bait and readily agreed. After sending the message, Ji Xian rested her head on the steering wheel. She never thought she would one day do something like this. But to deal with someone like Xiao Jing, the best way was to make all the dirty things he did widely known. Ji Xian remembered when she first discovered the relationship between Xiao Jing and Mrs. Wang. Xiao Jing kept making excuses for himself, saying it was for their future. By pleasing Mrs. Wang, he could get a promotion and a raise. Naturally, Ji Xian didn't believe his nonsense and directly told Xiao Jing to cancel the wedding. But hearing this, Xiao Jing became angry and ashamed, accusing Ji Xian of thinking she was so great. With such a small monthly salary, she still had to pay off her father's debts. If it weren't for him, who else would want her? The consequence of Xiao Jing saying that was a slap from Ji Xian. Thinking about all this, Ji Xian's teeth itched with hatred for Xiao Jing. Not only did he cheat to take a shortcut, he could also shamelessly threaten her again and again. If Ji Xian could tolerate this, she wouldn't be Ji Xian. The next day, Ji Xian slept until the afternoon. As soon as she woke up, she received a call from Wu Shu. She groggily opened her eyes and answered the phone. On the other end of the line was Wu Shu's surprised voice, asking her if she was responsible for what happened to Xiao Jing. Ji Xian was stunned, not knowing what specific incident Wu Shu was talking about. Wu Shu told her that all of Xiao Jing's relatives in his hometown now knew about the awful things he had done. Now, Xiao Jing's hometown was in an uproar. After hearing Wu Shu's words, Ji Xian wasn't very surprised. She just calmly told him she knew, because she was indeed the one who did it. The previous night, Ji Xian had gone to Xiao Jing's hometown and distributed flyers, detailing the awful things Xiao Jing had done from door to door. This way, the fact that Xiao Jing was fired for having an affair with President Wang's wife would become known to everyone. Then, Xiao Jing wouldn't be able to establish himself in his hometown either. Then he told her that Xiao Jing had also been beaten up. His new company had also fired him because of these incidents. The reason Wu Shu knew all this was because his cousin was close platonic friends with Xiao Jing's distant female cousin. And not only did Wu Shu know about Xiao Jing being beaten, he also had photos of Xiao Jing after the beating. He asked Ji Xian if he should send her the photos for her to see. Ji Xian didn't refuse. After hanging up, Wu Shu sent the photos over. The photos not only captured Xiao Jing, but also Qiu Ling. And the location was the alley at the entrance of Ji Xian's residential complex. Ji Xian immediately began to suspect that this was probably Song Zhaoli's doing. She just didn't understand why Song Zhaoli would do this. Meanwhile, in the hospital, the bandages on Liao Bei's face had been removed. He was admiring his own beauty in the mirror. After seeing that his face was not damaged, Liao Bei finally breathed a sigh of relief. And Song Zhaoli was standing by Liao Bei's hospital bed. Looking at his phone, Liao Bei also found out about Ji Xian going to Xiao Jing's hometown to distribute flyers. He hadn't expected Ji Xian to be so ruthless. She didn't sleep all night because of this. She really believes in an eye for an eye. Hearing Liao Bei's comment, Song Zhaoli was displeased. There's nothing wrong with an eye for an eye. You can't expect her to be a pushover and let people walk all over her. Hearing this, Liao Bei became curious. Since Song Zhaoli cared so much about Ji Xian, why didn't he just step in and help her? To this, Song Zhaoli didn't answer directly. While peeling an apple, he asked Liao Bei in return if someone stabbed him, would he want to stab them back himself, or have someone else do it for him? Hearing Song Zhaoli's words, Liao Bei immediately said he understood. Song Zhaoli was a bit suspicious. What exactly did he understand? Then, Liao Bei confidently told him he understood. Song Zhaoli looked innocent and naive, but was actually old and cunning. Hearing Liao Bei's words, Song Zhaoli was suddenly speechless. He also raised the fruit knife in his hand, as if he was about to stab Liao Bei to death. He was now starting to think that Uncle Wu had been too lenient back then. He should have hit him harder to knock some sense into him. Seeing Song Zhaoli like this, Liao Bei quickly begged for mercy and dropped his earlier flippant tone, asking if Song Zhaoli really planned to be a hands-off manager. But as soon as he finished speaking, Song Zhaoli received a message from Ji Xian, asking if he had arranged for people to beat up Xiao Jing. Song Zhaoli saw the message, and the corners of his mouth lifted slightly. He began to think about how best to reply to Ji Xian. Song Zhaoli didn't reply to Ji Xian's text. Instead, he called her directly. Ji Xian was a little surprised to see Song Zhaoli's name on her phone's caller ID. She didn't know why he was suddenly calling. She answered the phone. On the other end, Song Zhaoli was unhurried, just asking if she was hungry. Ji Xian had no intention of making small talk and immediately asked where he was. Song Zhaoli smiled faintly and told her to go to the window and look. Ji Xian did as he said, went to the window and looked down to see Song Zhaoli downstairs. Seeing Ji Xian, Song Zhaoli looked up, gave her a slight smile, and greeted her. Ji Xian was startled. She hadn't expected Song Zhaoli to come and was suddenly flustered. She told him she hadn't changed her clothes yet and asked him to wait for her. Song Zhaoli, however, remained unhurried, telling Ji Xian to take her time getting ready. After changing her clothes, Ji Xian came downstairs. The moment their eyes met, the atmosphere was a bit delicate. Then, Song Zhaoli was the first to break the silence, asking Ji Xian if she had eaten dinner. After learning she hadn't eaten, he naturally began to invite her to eat with him, to show his gentlemanly side. Song Zhaoli gave the choice to Ji Xian. However, Ji Xian chose the noodle shop at the entrance of the residential complex. This made Song Zhaoli a little unhappy. He wanted to go somewhere farther away, so he could spend more time with Ji Xian. Ji Xian also understood Song Zhaoli's meaning and told him she just had work to deal with. This put Song Zhaoli's mind at ease. As long as it wasn't because Ji Xian disliked him, it was fine. However, Song Zhaoli didn't insist further. Since Ji Xian wanted to go to the noodle shop, then he would accompany her. The noodle shop wasn't far, so the two of them walked there. At this moment, Qiu Ling, sitting there, wanted to cry, but had no tears. After arriving at the noodle shop, Ji Xian ordered the food. She turned to ask Song Zhaoli if he needed anything else. Then she saw Song Zhaoli was vigorously wiping the tableware on the table. He also complained, so the conditions at Wansheng are this bad. Ji Xian was a little helpless. She reached out, took Song Zhaoli's tableware, and started wiping it clean for him. Song Zhaoli didn't refuse. He sat in his seat, smiling as he looked at Ji Xian, his eyes full of doting affection and gentleness. While preparing the tableware for Song Zhaoli, Ji Xian got straight to the point, directly asking if Song Zhaoli had hired someone to beat up Xiao Jing. Song Zhaoli was frank. Without any concealment, he admitted it directly, and he asked Ji Xian in return if she knew why he did it. Hearing this, Ji Xian's face instantly turned red. After all, Song Zhaoli had no grudge against Xiao Jing. The reason he would do this was obvious. It was for her. Thinking of this, the blush on Ji Xian's face deepened. She couldn't help but feel flattered. She opened her mouth to thank Song Zhaoli. Hearing this, Song Zhaoli felt the urge to tease her again. He asked Ji Xian in return, was her way of thanking him just to treat him to a bowl of noodles? Ji Xian shook her head, indicating of course not. Song Zhaoli didn't continue this topic, but instead pressed her to answer his previous question. Why exactly did he do it? Seeing that Ji Xian still wouldn't speak, Song Zhaoli was relentless, asking if she didn't dare to say it or didn't want to face it. After a moment of silence, Ji Xian spoke and told Song Zhaoli she already had a boyfriend. It was Wu Shu's cousin, and they were very much in love. She couldn't do anything to betray him. Hearing this, Song Zhaoli let out a soft laugh. He asked Ji Xian in return, then why did she sleep with him the other day? Hearing Song Zhaoli's words, Ji Xian froze on the spot. She had no idea how to answer. Seeing her stunned look, Song Zhaoli smiled even more happily, and it seemed he had no intention of letting Ji Xian off the hook, continuing to press her for an explanation. Ji Xian was embarrassed by the question. After all, it really wasn't something a respectable person would do. Just when Ji Xian didn't know how to answer, the waiter brought over the noodles they had ordered. Seeing this, Ji Xian let out a long sigh of relief. She was saved at last. But just when Ji Xian thought she was in the clear, the owner's wife suddenly leaned in front of her, asking with a grin if Song Zhaoli was her boyfriend and that he was very handsome. Hearing this, Ji Xian almost choked on her own saliva. She had to tell the owner's wife that he was her boss. But the owner's wife looked suspicious, clearly not believing Ji Xian's words. She even thought Ji Xian and Song Zhaoli were playing some kind of role-playing game. In the end, she even gave Ji Xian a discount on her noodles, making it a bit cheaper. Song Zhaoli also heard the owner's wife's words. His expression was delighted. He seemed very satisfied with her misunderstanding, and he generously offered to pay for the meal. After the two finished eating, Song Zhaoli paid the bill. But Ji Xian was not happy. She felt that it was agreed she would be the one treating. How did it end up with Song Zhaoli paying? However, Song Zhaoli wasn't buying it. He directly stated that he hadn't agreed to anything with Ji Xian. Besides, Ji Xian owed him so many favors. How could a 20 yuan bowl of noodles possibly settle the score? Looking at Song Zhaoli's tall back, Ji Xian had a thought. Song Zhaoli couldn't possibly be thinking of making her treat him to another meal, could he? Sure enough, Song Zhaoli then told Ji Xian to treat him again next time. Ji Xian had no choice but to agree. After hearing this, Song Zhaoli turned to look at Ji Xian. In a serious tone, he told Ji Xian that Xiao Jing would not bother her anymore, and he advised Ji Xian not to dwell on the past anymore. What's past is past. People have to keep looking forward. Hearing Song Zhaoli's words, Ji Xian was also quite moved. After a long silence, she lowered her head and softly thanked Song Zhaoli. After parting with Song Zhaoli, Ji Xian walked out of the noodle shop. On her way home, his words kept replaying in her mind. Look forward, but what lies ahead? How did she really see Song Zhaoli? At the beginning of that night, she was indeed a bit drunk. But later, after she sobered up, she didn't refuse either, but let things take their course. Ji Xian realized that her feelings for Song Zhaoli were not as simple as she claimed. She might really have feelings for Song Zhaoli. Meanwhile, Song Zhaoli was sitting in the car, his mind filled with thoughts as he looked at the bustling night view outside the window. Xiao Ling was driving in the front, seeing Song Zhaoli's expression in the rearview mirror. After a moment of silence, he still asked him if he liked Ji Xian. Song Zhaoli didn't answer directly. Instead, he took a cigarette from his pocket and lit it. After taking a deep drag, he asked Xiao Ling in return, "Is it that obvious?" After returning from the restaurant, Ji Xian went home and tidied up. She remembered that tomorrow was Saturday, and she had arranged for Wu Shu's cousin, Wu Ruwei, to pretend to be her boyfriend and go home with her. In order not to mess things up, it seemed she had to go to bed early tonight. But just as Ji Xian was about to go to bed, she received a text message from Xiao Ling on her phone, asking if she had other plans for Saturday tomorrow. Seeing the message from Xiao Ling, Ji Xian was a little confused, not knowing what Xiao Ling was up to. But what Ji Xian didn't know was that Xiao Ling's account had long been taken over by Song Zhaoli. The one sending her messages was not Xiao Ling at all, but Song Zhaoli. And when Song Zhaoli saw Ji Xian's reply, the message about going home with her boyfriend to see her mother, his face instantly darkened, becoming quite ugly. The hand holding the phone was even trembling from gripping it too tightly. Early the next morning, Ji Xian met with Wu Ruwei. As soon as they met, Ji Xian politely thanked Wu Ruwei. Wu Ruwei, however, didn't think much of it. For him, it was just a small favor. He even assured Ji Xian that he could definitely play the role of a perfect boyfriend well, to make Ji Xian's mother feel that if they were to break up, it would be Ji Xian's fault. Then, the two went to Ji Xian's home together. As soon as Wu Ruwei entered, he greeted Zhao Lin and even brought her a gift. Zhao Lin's first impression of Wu Ruwei was also good. Wu Ruwei was indeed dedicated. With just a few words, he had Zhao Lin beaming with joy. Seeing this, Ji Xian also relaxed a little. It seemed that Zhao Lin could finally be at ease. Just as the two of them were getting along happily, there was a knock on the door. Ji Xian went to open the door. Standing outside was Song Zhaoli. Ji Xian was a bit surprised to see Song Zhaoli, not expecting him to come. Wu Ruwei was also a little surprised to see Song Zhaoli. After all, Song Zhaoli was his boss. When Song Zhaoli saw Wu Ruwei, his face immediately darkened. In a sarcastic tone, he asked if he was dating Ji Xian. Wu Ruwei didn't know what had gotten into Song Zhaoli. He just nodded stiffly. Xiao Ling, who was standing to the side, saw this and couldn't help but complain inwardly. Song Zhaoli was acting like the other man again. Seeing this, Ji Xian quickly pulled him away. As she led him away, she asked him what he wanted with her. Song Zhaoli told Ji Xian irritably that he was looking for her for official business, of course. It couldn't possibly be for personal matters. Ji Xian suddenly felt he was being unreasonable, but she couldn't refuse him. She muttered to herself, Song Zhaoli had better have something so urgent that it had to be resolved on a weekend. But when Song Zhaoli spoke, he asked Ji Xian if Wu Rui was the boyfriend she had mentioned. Hearing this, Ji Xian felt a little guilty, but she stubbornly told Song Zhaoli that Wu Rui was her boyfriend. Hearing her words, Song Zhaoli was slightly stunned. After a moment, he asked her what she thought of Wu Rui. Ji Xian thought for a moment and told Song Zhaoli that Wu Rui was a good person and also witty and humorous. A pretty good guy. Hearing Ji Xian's assessment of Wu Rui, Song Zhaoli felt even worse. He directly told Ji Xian to get in the car with him to talk. He didn't want to hear Ji Xian praise another man anymore. Ji Xian was baffled by Song Zhaoli's attitude. It was completely baffling. He was the one who asked first, but now he was the one who was unhappy. After getting into the car with Song Zhaoli, Ji Xian finally asked him what was wrong with the project that was worth him rushing back across the city for. But Song Zhaoli gave an irrelevant answer. He told Ji Xian that the wound on his back had scabbed over. It felt very itchy now, but he couldn't scratch it. After all, it would bleed if he scratched it. It was obvious that Ji Xian didn't understand Song Zhaoli's meaning. She continued to press him about what exactly was wrong with the work. Song Zhaoli had no intention of answering her. Instead, he turned and trapped her between himself and the car seat. Song Zhaoli looked at Ji Xian in front of him and asked, some things, you know you can't touch them, but you can't control the urge to do so. What should you do in that case? At this point, no matter how slow Ji Xian was, she could tell that Song Zhaoli was using a metaphor. However, she wasn't sure if she was overthinking it or not thinking enough. But either way, her answer was the same. Since you know you can't touch it, it's best not to. Hearing this, Song Zhaoli reached out and pinched Ji Xian's chin, his tone becoming playful. He asked her in return if she was trying to persuade him to give up. But what if I just can't control myself? Ji Xian avoided Song Zhaoli's gaze. If you can't control it, the wound will fester. In the end, you'll have to dig the whole thing out. Song Zhaoli listened to Ji Xian's words and mentally labeled her a heartless woman. When Ji Xian returned, her mother Zhao Lin breathed a sigh of relief and asked with concern if Song Zhaoli had given her a hard time. Zhao Lin was very dissatisfied with the fact that Song Zhaoli had come to find Ji Xian for overtime on a weekend. Hearing this, Ji Xian comforted her mother, telling her that he was just an ordinary, inhumane boss. She told Zhao Lin not to worry. Song Zhaoli did indeed talk about work with Ji Xian later, but it was nothing more than nitpicking. He was deliberately making things difficult for Ji Xian, and he demanded that she revise the proposal and give it to him today. Ji Xian apologetically saw Wu Rui off. After all, she still needed to revise the proposal and really had no time to entertain him. Wu Rui, for his part, was very understanding. After all, he understood being berated by the client. In the end, he didn't forget to tease Ji Xian, saying if there was another opportunity like this in the future, he would come again. After seeing Wu Rui off, Ji Xian started working on the proposal, revising it until midnight before she finally finished. Seeing this, Zhao Lin brought out a plate of cut fruit for Ji Xian to eat. As Ji Xian ate the fruit, she noticed her mother's gaze was fixed on her. Feeling it was strange, she asked what was wrong. But Zhao Lin told her it was nothing. She was just feeling a bit emotional. But as soon as Zhao Lin finished speaking, she suddenly started trembling all over, and cold sweat broke out on her forehead. Seeing this, Ji Xian was frantic with worry. She quickly dialed 120 for an ambulance. After making the call, Ji Xian rushed to a neighbor's house for help, only to run into Song Zhaoli again. Seeing the tear-streaked face of Ji Xian before him, Song Zhaoli felt something tug at his heart, a flutter of emotion. After taking Zhao Lin to the hospital, Ji Xian went to ask the doctor what illness her mother had, but ended up getting scolded by the doctor. As a child, you don't even know what illness your own mother has. You're far too irresponsible. Hearing the doctor's words, Song Zhaoli was instantly displeased and retorted. He subtly, and not so subtly, criticized the doctor's professional conduct. The doctor didn't argue with him. He told the two that Zhao Lin had uremia and could only be treated with a kidney transplant. However, there was no suitable kidney donor available at the moment, so they could only wait. Hearing the doctor's words, Ji Xian was thunderstruck. She could never have imagined that her mother would have uremia. Seeing her emotional state, Song Zhaoli quickly pulled her out of the doctor's office. In the hospital corridor, Ji Xian still didn't forget to update Song Zhaoli on work. She told him that she had already sent the revised proposal to his email and asked him to check it when he had time. Song Zhaoli told Ji Xian that he had already seen the proposal. It was done very well and had been approved. Hearing this, Ji Xian didn't say much, but instead apologized to Song Zhaoli. Song Zhaoli didn't say much, just told Ji Xian that he would figure something out about the kidney donor. Hearing Song Zhaoli's words, Ji Xian didn't feel particularly happy. Instead, she asked Song Zhaoli in return, "What is it that you really want from me?"